Shalom. Shalom. Start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Kakadash. Right, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Right, honors you brothers in the works, the most in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh, that's the true name, moving the world in calls God, right? And Yahushai, that's the true name, moving the world in calls Jesus Christ, man. Right? And those are their names, and they're coming back, man. Well, rather Yahushai is coming back real soon.
Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him.
That's right. So first bit of that was, the fear of the name of the Lord, right? Because right now we live in a kingdom where the Lord isn't feared at all, right? You speak about the Lord and people look at you sideways, right? You out there on a train, for instance, reading the scripts, people gonna look at you, oh, he's one of them, right? But these times you have people who straight up read some witchcraft and no one will look at them sideways, okay? But then it goes into when this man comes in as a flood, because we're approaching the time of Jacob's trouble. Right? Whether Jake wanted to believe it or not. What does it say in Romans 3:2? What if some did not believe? Right? Shall I make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid. Right? Let God be true, let the Most High be true, and every man a lie. So every man that's saying there ain't going to be a time of Jacob's trouble, they're a liar, man. Right? And you know what? Cool. Right? But Jacob's trouble is going to find you, man.
Jeremiah 30, I'll start from verse 5. It's for thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. That shows you that we're not in a time of peace, man. We're in a time of fear, great fear. The Lord's reinvigorating fear in the earth. Jacob's trouble is definitely going to be the icing on the cake for that, man. Where the Lord's just going to let Esau, Edom, all kinds of creatures unleashed. I mean, they just discovered a giant moth over in Australia. The brothers were saying earlier, man, creatures newly created. So the Lord's got all kinds of creepy crawlies hidden, just like Esau, Edom's got his weaponry that's hidden from us in these last days that's going to be released, man, on the masses. And it's going to be a time of great fear and trembling, man. I'll read that again. Jeremiah 30:5. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. It says, ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail? So it's gonna be dark out here. Some dark times, man. And we've been warning you out here through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, with Parkodash, man, and the Holy Spirit, that these times are coming upon the earth. That's why the Lord set up his men, and he said to warn Israel, man. Ezekiel 3:17. Give them warning from me. Because it's ultimately the Lord that's bringing these terrors upon the earth. He's the king of terrors, man. So there's some very, dark, bloody times that are coming upon the earth, man. Jake's not ready. 2/3 are not ready for it. It says, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
Right, so yeah, this is the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Right? It says that day is great. It's echoing the same sentiment as when you read Daniel 12 chapter, right? Which that's more, bro, yeah? Yeah, so Daniel 12, it speaks about this time that is to come, right? And how it's going to be like a time like no other, right? And that's why when it speaks about, men's heart, what did it say? Men's heart feeling them for fear. Men's heart feeling them for fear. Men's hearts feeling them for fear. That's why all of the ancient prophets prophesied about this day, and they were all fearful from the visions alone that they saw. That's why Ezra made statements like, woe is me, who shall deliver me in that day, in those days? That's why Habakkuk said, look, Lord, I heard thy voice and was afraid and hid myself. Were you angry at the trees and the rivers? That's why Amos said the day of the Lord is darkness and not light, as if a man fled from a lion and a bear met him. It's poetic justice, but all he's basically saying is there's no way out of it, man. It could literally be the animals that he described, or it could be a different scenario where you're running from troops and soldiers and guns and gangs and wild beasts. And basically,
that's spirit vengeance, man. Yes. Wild beasts, animals, all kinds of, and then he's got Esau and his armies. Esau is the slayer. Esau is known as the slayer, man. You know, Ezekiel 21:9, Psalms 40 tells you that Esau, Edom, Esau for white people are the slayers. That's why they can never bring peace on the earth, because they was made to seek and destroy. The Lord created the wicked for the day of evil, man. So that's what these Edomites were made for. So there's all kinds of, there's 4 different types. The Lord said Jeremiah 15, the 15th chapter, 4 different types of judgments, man. You know, that the Lord's going to release out here. And the troops is definitely one of them. You know? I got something for you. Zechariah 14:1, it says, Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle and the city. And Jerusalem's a people before it's a place. So this is Jacob's trouble that the Lord's talking about. Future event that's going to happen. It says, Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled. Yeah, so what's that talking about? These troops coming to knock on your door in the middle of the night, man. You know, the hour of martial law, man.
Would you call it? It's been very evident this last year how he, with his media manipulation, is able to sway the minds of the people so that everyone will be consenting unto it. Remember how at first it was these Moabites that was the issue, where everyone hated the Moabites. Oh, you brought this in, blah blah. But then he just flipped it to being Jake. Yeah, exactly. You know,
and people are like, even during this whole pandemic, they had people going to knock on people's doors to make sure they were taking the vaccine. And Esau's constantly sending them letters through the post. I get them saying, "Come and get your jab" and all that. So eventually they'll come knocking from door to door in the middle of the night or whenever, and they're going to be forcing people to take the ultimate jab, which is that chip, man. And if you don't, they're going to ship your ass into a concentration camp, you know, for further re-education purposes, man.
And if I can say, that's one thing he's been able to tell from this whole thing. Those that were eager to get it, right, and those that weren't, right? And those that were eager, he's going to be, you know what he did with red, blue, yellow list, man. Right? That's the easy way for him to say, well, this particular person, they're down for the cause, they're down for the New World Order, man. You know?
Right. That's why they had put the certain legislations. And you already know the Hebrew Israelites, which you keep calling us black Hebrew Israelites. So now they're saying African Hebrew Israelites. We're on the red list, man. We're in that red list, man. We're deep dark in that red zone of enemy combatants, man. Enemies to this New World Order. Because we ultimately got this truth, you know? So I'll read verse 2 again. Zechariah 14:2 says, For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. So you women are going to be getting draped out here, man. You're going to be getting graped out here in the masses. Oh, this was said in one news report in California, I think. The mayor, one of them guys over there, said he's going to start releasing the prisoners during the summer. Yeah. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, what is the benefit of releasing all them niggers into the society, man? Especially at a time like this. Them guys are just going to run rife. They're going to go nuts, man.
They're doing what Bane did, man. They're setting up that up.
All shall be coming. All shall be enjoyed. Not trying nothing. God is yours. Do as you please.
That's what it's going to be. Why would you release a whole prison of niggas back into society, man? That's not going to do nothing but commit crimes and do kinds of wayward things. They're going to be grappling women, man. They're going to be great. Certain guys in there, you know, been in jail since the 80s and shit, man. They're going to come out here hungry, man.
And also, the thing to ask a question. It's not the American prison system is different than ours, where ours is, you know, not necessarily for profit. But in America, the prison system is for profit. So why are they going to release all of them prisoners and lose out the money?
I thought prison was a big money racket anyway. Why are you gonna, I'm saying, why would you release them back in society? And that just shows you that's going to build into the race riots, the tension that's brewing between the nations, and all these different fractions. And then ultimately, Jacob's trouble, man. And it's going to be all hell breaking loose and our total chaos and civil unrest in the streets, man. You know, and these women, they're going to be like fucking, you know, sheep to the slaughter, man. Because these women are promiscuous as hell. They got the fuck nation out there and all that. They're just so slutty. They got the OnlyFans crew and all that. So these bitches are totally just straight up sluts right now, whores right now to the maximum. So they're just, you know, they're meat for the taking, man. These guys are going to come out of prison and start grappling these women at thousands, man. You know, they're going to be breaking into these hoes' houses and all of that, man. It says it in the scriptures. And Esau's troops are going to be doing the same thing. You know, and it says, houses rifled and women ravished. It says, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the sea. It says, then shall the Lord go forth and fight against these nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And that ultimately is, you know, the Lord's going to protect his elect. Angels are going to be there to guard, protect the elect. Certain men, like I read in the first scripture, the Lord's going to endow them with spiritual power, man. He's going to pour an extra portion of that spirit on them to fight and protect, you know, against the Esau and his army, man. You know, because brothers, I just sit down recently. Esau's got the new space, not space, well, he got the Space Force that's going to try and fight the Lord in the heavens, war in heaven. And now he's got his military armed with, so, you know, Iron Man super type boosters that they can fly in the air, man. Propel themselves into the air and, you know, tackle the enemy, man. And that's all about, you know, fighting, you know, going into combat. And they're going to be using that in Jacob's Trouble as well, man. Show you all these different sci-fi movies, Demolition Man, you know, the advanced technology that they have, the Super Soldier program. Now they got robotic dogs and shit. Esau's, yeah, that's the sword's being furbished, man. It's been sharpened. Esau's technology's been perfected, man. And he's going to release that in these last days. So, as we keep saying, man, this is definitely not a time to be playing around. It's not a time of peace or mirthdom or none of that, man. The mirth of the land ceasing. That's all.
Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. And what the scripture talks about is better to enter into the house of mourning than into the house of feasting. Because right now, there's nothing to enjoy in society. The Lord has taken the mirth of this land totally away. Even the weather cycles are not what they used to be. Back in 2020, when we first got into this pandemic, it was hot outside. You'll come out here and it will be all the heat wave for ages. We've pretty much been in winter all year, you know? And it's still
it's still in winter type season, right? It's still cold as fuck out here, raining and wind and all that. It's not even like proper spring, like, you know.
Oh, what you call? I remember reading earlier on in the month, because this is this season when you start putting your crop down. I forgot the term for it.
Cultivating and all
of that, yeah, right. And which got these French farmers all having to do all kinds of things to protect their crop because it was too cold at a time when things were supposed to be going in the ground and what you call the season, right, budding and all of that. They weren't doing it. They were, you know, surrounded by ice, right?
Crops up the harvest, right?
Yeah.
These seasons are, you know, supposed to be in a particular order for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So the Lord set up the signs of the heavens, the times and seasons,
Yeah,
the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the weather patterns as well. It's all supposed to be like a cycle that goes on, man. The ever going cycle, man. I'm gonna say evolution, but I don't want to say that. But it's an ecosystem, natural ecosystem. But because this devil, Esau Edom, so-called white man, the wicked is ruling. It's got a wicked vibration on the earth, man. So everything's out of course. You know, the seasons are out of course, out of whack. Psalms 85 tells you everything's upside down, man. You know, and the earth is defiled thereof because of the inhabitants, man.
Isaiah 24:5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
Yeah, and even in Daniel to tell you that Esau will think to change times and laws, and they've done that, man. So everything's fucked up. That's why we need not only to be liberated from this flesh, but this current realm that we're in, man. Because this is literally hell on earth right now. This is not a kingdom desired for the Israelites, man. Our kingdom's gonna be after the smoke is all cleared, man. With that nuclear fire, we're gonna start afresh. The Lord said that the earth is gonna be refreshed, man. We're gonna start all over again, meaning the season. And everything's going to yield its full strength and be back in its perpetual order, man. We're not under this devil, man, because the wicked's ruling.
Oh, in Isaiah 14, it says even the seed of Lebanon going to be rejoicing when this man's gone. Because the way this guy does anything, right, it's out of balance, man. Yeah, you can use certain trees for this, that, and the other, but this guy will go and just completely wipe out a whole forest, man. You know?
Cutting down my oxygen.
Yeah.
Then he's going to complain about climate change. when you're the one cutting down all the fucking oxygen we breathe, man. You know, you're the one putting all this pollutants and pollution everywhere in the seas and the air, chemtrails and all that. You're fucking up the order of the earth, man. You're the destroyer of the earth. The scripture tells you that in Jeremiah 51. Destroyers of the earth, man. Destroying mountains, which starts from Babylon the Great, aka America.
And then you'll have the nerve in this nature documentary. We have done this. And I said, we ain't did it. You did it. Like, this is the man that likes taking credit for everything. Take credit for that, man.
They call themselves philanthropists.
Yeah.
They ain't doing nothing to help the earth. It just helps to get their money, the money in their pockets fatter, man. That's what that's about. Philanthropy and all that, man. That's BS, man. These devils have never cared about the earth, man, or the people of the earth.
There's a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. It says a time to weep and a time to laugh. A
time to break down, a time to build up. It's going to be. This is the time now to break down. The kingdom is going to be a time to build up. We're going to have servants and slaves of the other nations, starting with the elites. They're going to build up our kingdom, man, in order and righteousness, man. Everything's going to be back to how it's supposed to be, man. The utopia, you know, Eden, I done, a paradise, man. A pleasure for the Israelites, man. Sons of the Most High, all over, man. That's what we're fervently seeking and hoping and praying for. Not to like carry on in this place. We want this place to be destroyed tonight. The Lord, you know, gives the credence, man. That's how badly we hasten the day 2021, hasten the coming of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That's what we want, man. Ultimately, you know, if you're in your right mind, it says that in Ecclesiastes 7:7, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, man. So if you're wise, you don't want it. You understand that you don't. This is not the kingdom, man. This is not our rest. Man. I mean, you got Jake over there in Israel fighting to stay in the land, the Mona Israel now. But that land is barren anyway, man. That land is cursed right now. You've got a bunch of heathens in that land. And now Esau's throwing the true inhabitants of that land back out again, man.
These times, if they were understanding of the scriptures, for scriptures, my people serve a life of knowledge, right? These times they don't realize that could just be saving their life, man. Because that land is going to get hit, man.
Yeah, it's going to be destroyed. It's going to get cleansed.
You see it?
It's got to be cleansed.
So these men are literally begging to stay in something that's going to be demolished.
Polluted land right now. That land is totally polluted right now. You got the heathen over there, you got the gay parades, all that shit. Tel Aviv, kind of naked beaches and shit like that. It's totally defiled, man, under the inhabitants there. So the Lord needs to cleanse it, and the perfect cleansing agent right now is that fire, man. You know? Then that land's gonna go back to what it's supposed to be, yield its full strength. Like it's gonna be like Mesopotamia again, man. You know, it's fertile crescent, because that land's supposed to be very fertile, but right now it's barren, man.
Because even one you know how it is in these countries work with bows and that. One of them was like, oh, I had a holiday booked to go to Israel in July.
What family was talking about? They've been to Israel before.
Yeah,
they went with the church and that.
You
know, to see the old ruins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but they always want to. They're intrigued to hear about and go to Israel. But when man told them that they're Israelites, they can't put two and two together. But why is Jake so intrigued about the land of Israel, man? They just want to go there to visit, but not knowing that's your actual homeland. That's the motherland, man. That's the cradle of civilization. Not no damn land of Ham, Africa, man. You know, that's not the cradle of civilization, man. You got this guy Zion Lutz. He's half African, half Hebrew Israelite. Guys, free, man. Demented, man. You can't be a Hamite and an Israelite, man. Those are two different nations, man. Two different seeds. One comes from Shem, one comes from Ham. So which are you, man? Calling yourself an African Israelite. We're not African Israelites, man. We're Hebrew Israelites, man. Come from the line of Shem. We don't come from the line or the descendants of Ham. You know, we dwelt in the land of Ham after the siege of Jerusalem, 70 AD. But that's through secular history. It's called diasporas, man. When you check out the different times in history that Israel was scattered, the word scatter goes back to the word diaspora. Diaspora or whatever, man. So those are the different times that we traveled, went and migrated into different lands. I mean, even in the book of Acts, why was it that Jake had to come 3 times a year into Jerusalem? He had all kinds of Jakes coming from all around the 4 winds at that time. Because Jake was migrating into other lands, man. He was living up in different lands, man. The land of Elam, in Egypt and all that. And they will come to Jerusalem to keep the high holy days, man. They'll settle themselves in inns. you know, hire out hotels, modern day hotels. They're setting themselves out to keep the high holy days, keep the Passover. These guys, you know, these guys acting like if you're an Israelite, you just have to be in the land. If you're scattered, then you're not an Israelite. What the hell are you talking about? Jake was always scattered.
So Galatians 4:26 verse, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all.
So, okay, that's what we're going into, man. You know, the Jerusalem, that's the motherland, man. No, so I said not no land of Ham, this, that, and the other, because you got to understand why this man pushes that, right? He pushes that to further the your confusion. That's a perfect word. To further the confusion, right? Everything that this man gives you, you first got to filter it through the scripture, and the scriptures say that it's Jerusalem that's the motherland, not no damn Africa, man. Right? Because if Jake is all in love with Africa, then guess what? They ain't looking about it. They ain't looking about these scriptures. That's why also Eve, you know, as the apostle were going into it this week. That's why Eve will do certain things to try and push that divide between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Right? But really, when you're really deep, and you're just like, yo, we're still one people, man, right? You know,
the common denominator out of all that is Esau Edom.
Yeah.
He's the conqueror of our people, man. He conquered us, all the 12 tribes, man. Starting with the northern, then the southern kingdom, man. That's the common denominator. All have a history with this being conquered by the so-called white man, man. And the slavery. Now they're trying to say the transatlantic slave trade didn't exist, man. That's bullshit, man. That's in secular history,
That
man.
sounds like something the devil would say.
Yeah. And you know, it's like they'll give you every other religion under the book. You could be Islam, you could be a Buddhist, you could be a Christian. But as soon as you say you're a Hebrew Israelite, it's an issue, man. They don't want to start coming up with narratives and labeling you this terrorist groups, hate groups, and all that. Why? Because that's the truth. We are the descendants of Jacob, man. We are the original Hebrew Israelite, man. You know? And the term Hebrew Israelite is in the scriptures, man. You got guys out there saying that Hebrew Israelite is not in the scriptures. In Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Paul said, are they Hebrew? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. A Hebrew Israelites. What are you talking about? The term Hebrew Israelite is not in the scripture. You guys are bugging out, man, straining that and that. But either way, this truth is out here, and that's why these devils are trembling, man. Revelations, the 11th chapter, it tells you that our enemies are going to see the great men of the Lord stand up. You're going to see the great army, the great armada, should I say, of the Lord, the men of the Lord, you know, that spiritual army, the elect, stand up, and fear is going to be in their heart. They're going to be dreading in fear. And these elites are seeing that. That's why they're constantly cutting brothers' channels down, you know, giving brothers all kinds of different strikes in their videos, you know, medical misinformation strikes, all that shit. Striking brothers' channels. Why? Because this truth is hurting them, man. The truth hurts, man.
Psalms 83:1. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
right?
And-
Right. No, the same part that crafty counsel, right, is trying to make us believe that we are what we're not, right? They'll let everyone else be Israel, whatever. As soon as we say we're Israel, now there's a problem, right? You know, and that's that because they understand what is it, Judah, right? Where basically they were saying, look, man, if these people continue to go up, then yeah, you'll be able to conquer them forever, right? But if they're following after their Lord, then look, man, ain't nothing you can do. And there was a heathen that said this, man, right? So these people, they know that for as long as Jake is wicked, right, they're gonna have power over us. But it's cool because the Most already had a plan for them, right? Scripture says in Amos 9, all the sinners of my people shall die, man, right? And the remnant shall be saved.
So it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's what they're trying to do to our people. That's why anything that Jake get into outside of these scriptures, Esau will push it, man. Esau pushes it to the sky. Like, he's got schools. You can probably like you can go into museums and all for Jake learning about Egyptology and Africanism, and yeah, we're trying to work with the Africans and trying to help build them up. But like you say anything about being an Israelite, they're gonna look at you like, no, nigga, no, like it's impossible, you know. And it's ironic in this whole trans world that Esau's created. He's got a problem with you being an Israelite. You can be anything else. You can be anything
identify
else.
as any.
You can identify as an oak tree. You can be whatever you want. Just don't call yourself an Israelite or you're a terrorist. You're a threat to humanity. Why? Because at the end of the day, he knows once you're connected back to your power source, it's a problem for him, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can identify as anything in this kingdom, but we can't identify and rightfully identify. Exactly.
This brother constantly just want us to go further and further from who we actually are, man. There'll be everything under the sun but Hebrew Israelites. Why? You know damn sure that you ain't the Hebrew Israelites. You don't fulfill the prophecies. You don't fulfill none of the curses and none of the prophecies that's written in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, man. You ain't under the curses, man. You devils are living plenteous and rich and fat, luxurious. You own all the banks, man. You own all the diamonds. You own all the gold and silver. You know, you own everything, man. What do you devils want for lacking? How are you the children of Israel? You're not in a state of mourning, man. You're in a state of living it up. The scripture says you're not in trouble as other men, man. Let's talk about the nation of Edom in particular, man. Because you're the ones in charge right now. We're under your rule, under your wicked laws and legislation, man. You make these bylaws and shit in society that no one else can come up against, man. Otherwise, you send out the military on them, man. So who's in charge and who's not in charge, man? Who's the earth been given into the hand of? It's ultimately Esau Edom. But anyway, got something there? Or,
Yeah,
go.
Psalms 119 and Psalms 119 and 69. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law.
Yeah, man. This truth is our shield, man. This is our shield and buckler, man. You know, this is in the names of the Lord is a strong tower, man. The righteous one into it is safe. So we have to keep these laws, statutes, and judgments, and the whole doctrine and our customs in our heart, meaning our mind, man. Because innately it's part of us. The whole Bible is for the children of Israel anyway. It's not meant for these other nations, man. Yeah. Anyway, I've got something here. Revelations 11, I'll start from 1. I'll jump around. It says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of the Most High and the altar, and them that worship therein. It says, but the court which is without the temple leave out, which is the heathen nations. They're not part of this ministry. They're not part of this temple, the holy temple of the Lord. The third temple is representation of the elect rising up right now. So I'm going to read. It says, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, because the other nations are insignificant. The law is not dealt so with any other nation. It says, for it is given unto the Gentiles, actual Gentiles, the other nations, the heathens. And it says, the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. This is, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, representing the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. It says, and they shall prophesy and 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth, which you're seeing the men of the Lord doing right now, around the 4 winds of the earth. You know? It says, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the Most High, the power of the earth. Then it goes into, the breakdown, that spiritual power that the Lord's going to endow these men in these last days. But I'm going to jump down. It says, jump down to verse 8. Verse 7. It says, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, which is Esau Edom, this beast system headed by America, shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And they did that during the transatlantic slave trade. And Esau's getting ready to try and do it again during the time of Jacob's trouble. He's going to try and annihilate the children of Israel once again. But he's not going to be successful, man. It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is America, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So our people right now, the majority of them are still in a dead state. But you got the elect that's awoken, man. They're woken out of this matrix, this nightmare called the American dream, and they've awoken to the fact that Esau Edom is the #1 enemy of the children of Israel, and we need deliverance, man, from our enemies. That's why the Lord Yahweh Shai is coming back to redeem his elect, because he's the savior of the nation of Israel. He's going to destroy our enemies with the holy angel. Verse 10, it says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt upon the earth, or dwelt on the earth. Verse 11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of the Lord from the Heavenly Father entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. A great fear fell upon them which saw them, which is talking about now. Because Esau Edom right now, these banking elites, they're watching brothers' live streams. They're seeing this word go out across the unicorn, across the great feed, across the great web, the World Wide Web, and we're shutting their shit down by just reading the words out of the book. But now they're trying to class the book as a misogynist and a toxic book. And now they're trying to outlaw the Bible, man, because the Bible speaks the truth and it speaks against the wickedness of the society, man.
But then I say, like in the book of Eli, at the end of the film, he didn't have the book anymore, right? But what was it? He was able to recite it, man.
Yeah.
You know, so
in his mind.
That's it. So you can try and dissuade. They mention that on Beef of Vendetta as well. You can how you can kill the man. You can kill the man, but not the idea, right? And that's it. This notion that this man is not to be trusted, right? Is out there in the world, man. Oh, like I said a little while ago, video on it, man. There was getting the guy's name, right? But basically, it's something Latin history pajamas or something like that. And he goes in, man. He goes in that video, and yeah, the way it was kind of prepared and packaged and whatever, what have you. But there was a bit, 1 or 2 months, whatever. But the way he goes in, he speaks about how this man committed straight up genocide on the Latin tribes, man. Right? How he brought over one of the things he said was only thing that this man had superior was his germs, man. So basically, each time that they fought before their germs had actually hit the Latin tribes, they always would lose. Right? But in one battle, right, they just let their germs and their viruses basically kill off half the population, and then they came in and did what they had to do, man. But that just goes to show just how this man has tried to suppress history, right? But guess what? That notion that this man is devil cannot be trusted is out there, man.
Yeah, man. It's out there. The history's there, man. And that's why the Most High is revealing more and more the fuckery that you've done, huh? The genocides that you've done to his people. And now some of these devils are trying to save face. Scripture said that, so please, they'll seek to please the poor. Huh? So now they want to talk about reparations and all this. But nah, real reparations is blood for blood. You took us and put us in slavery. We in turn have to put you in slavery, man. That's real reparations, man. Yeah, that's the patience and the faith, and it's gonna happen. There's nothing you devils can do to stop it. Like Mr. Smith said, it's inevitable, man. Slavery is inevitable for the elites, for you other heathen nations, because you enslaved the apple of the Lord's eye. So in turn, you got to face that same judgment. I've got a quick one. So Daniel's 9 and 11. 9 and 12, it says, and he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us. It says, and against our judges that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil. Yeah, God putting us into slavery, putting us under the curses, putting us under these other nations, our enemies. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. So no other nation upon the planet Earth has suffered the atrocities like the nation of Israel have suffered, man, from the northern kingdom to the southern, man. We all was oppressed by the same devil, man. Yeah.
So Jeremiah 50:33 says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
And we're still in this devil's hand to this day.
Right.
And he's not letting us go, man. So that's why the Lord's going to have to take us by force. That's why the Lord's going to come with the armada of ships, the holy angels, and he's going to take this devil down, man. He's going to destroy them, and then he's going to redeem his elect. This is going to be the greatest exodus, the second exodus ever known in the whole history of man. Mankind is going to be greater than the deliverance of ancient Egypt, man. And that was the greatest deliverance of the nation of Israel. And that's still talked about this day. So how much more when we get delivered from the land of the north? I don't know.
Jeremiah 16:14, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said that the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
Yeah, and even with the first deliverance out of ancient Egypt, you had it to where not just Rahab the harlot, but there were different Hamitic nations that just automatically made peace with Joshua and them because of the fact that they knew of the power of the Lord and they knew that it was futile fighting against Israel when the Lord was on their side.
Yeah, it's a big point of that. If they try and come out with a Caleb was an Edomite. The Edomites weren't even in ancient Egypt at the time that we was there, man. They was in their own land. Even Apostle Elder Ramla brought it out, man. These guys are trying to say Caleb was an Edomite. How could he have been an Edomite when it says he's from the tribe of Judah anyway? The Edomites was not in ancient Egypt. They was not in slavery under when we was in slavery under them Hamites, man. Even some Egyptians came out of Egypt with us, but there were no Edomites there. They was in their own land, scared and shitting themselves when we was trying to get to the Holy Land, man. Because they knew who he was. So how was Caleb an Edomite, man? Come on, man. Cut that shit out, man. That just goes to show you got enemies of the Lord that just don't want this truth to come out. Holcam Malone, the rest of these theologian punks out here, man.
That's man. You're trying to say that because Joshua and Caleb were the two that made it into the promised land. You're trying to say that Moses didn't make it, but Edomite made it over. Like
Joshua, son of Nun and all that. Come on, man. They were Jakes, man. They weren't no damn heathens, man. They weren't no heathens, man. Caleb was an Edomite. In what life, man? Just because his name means dog. A dog is a loyal servant, man. And Caleb was a loyal servant of the Lord. That's why him and Joshua did what they did. They got us into the Holy Land, man. The hell are you talking about Caleb as an Edomite? Guys, man. The Lord's going to destroy all you guys anyway. That's all that's going to happen. You can keep talking shit. The Lord said that there's going to be scoffers and scorners in the last days anyway. So you're just fulfilling prophecy. You know, we ain't kicking up. We ain't going to lose sleep over it. You're just fulfilling prophecy, man.
Carrying on, it says, but the Lord, Jeremiah 7:16-15 now. So, but the Lord lives that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them.
Got North America, and that proves that Israel is scattered, man. Israel is scattered around the four winds. You got guys still, being mind boggled over the fact that you still got Jakes over there in West Africa, man. If they're in the land of Ham, that means they're Hamites. Come on, man.
they had Jake in Egypt.
Come on, man.
Even during the time of Howard.
Yeah, Alexandrian Jews. Jake's always been scattered. This is what we're trying to tell you, man. Jake has always traveled. Even now, Jake in Germany, even the most racist countries out there, Russia and all that. Jake is over there, man. Jake loves to migrate. They love to travel, set up shop in other places, man. That's just what they do.
That's what it really is. Jake love.
Exactly. That's why you have the Moors. The Moors, they went to Italy, Spain, and they set up shop, man. They killed all the men there, took the women and breeded them up, man. And that's why you got them Sicilians today, black hair, dark hair, brown eyes. They look like most of them look like the Northern Kingdom, man. Majority of them. I knew certain Italians, so-called Italians, Sicilians, that are straight up Jakes, man. But you can tell by their spirit, man.
Because I can say it's sort of like these people aren't putting what was happening back then into this captivity. Because you'll go to some obscure part of England and you're like, man, it's just devils here. And you just have that one Jake that married one Edomite woman, fell in love with her, and then now he went up there, set up shop with that woman.
Jake's been doing it since before the flood. That's why he said in the Napoleon, sons of the God sleeping with the children of men, the daughters of men. That was Israel. That was the sons of God translated Israel basically back then. It's the sons of God sleeping with the other women of the nations, different nations, and breeding them up. That's what we was doing back then. The one the Nephilim, Napoleon just means fallen ones, man. Because we're the fallen ones in these, these vile bodies right now, man. Falling from our first estate. We're just angels in these prisons right now, in this flesh.
Fucking scripture says in Hosea 1:10 that Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. I.e., Israel is going to be a large and great nation. So you're telling me in the 1 billion Moabites, they ain't one Jake. Then the 1.4 billion Indians, so-called Indians, that there ain't, but which Moab, that's the Chinese, right? You're telling me you perform those 2.5 billion, they ain't no Jakes amongst them. Right, but how many Jakes in America? How many Jakes in Latin?
Just in America alone, North, South, and Central America. Jakes is Go for it. That's it. Then you got Israelites scattered around the whole to the earth. So we've always been in different captivity. Philippines, there's a whole bunch of jakes in the Philippines doing more arts, man, and that shit, man. They think they're so-called jakes, but really they're jakes, man.
Oh,
But the Lord's going to deliver them in that time.
Hosea,
Isaiah 11 as well.
Hosea, the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
And so we're a large and great nation.
That's right, man.
So how can there be more Moabites than Israelites? How can there be more Elamites than Israelites, man?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Even in Japan, got the original samurai, the black samurai, Yasuki or whatever, how do you say his name? You know, that was a black samurai that was in Japan. So that shows you that Jake was all in those lands, the land of Moab, land of Japan, and we were spreading our seed, man.
There's a whole dance hall scene in Japan.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then links up, the ones in China, they link up with the ones on the islands.
Right.
So you got they call it Blasian or Bayesian, you know, with half Chinese or Japanese and half so-called Jamaican, which really you are your father, you are what your father is. So those half so-called Chinese and half Jamaican or whatever on the lines in Jamaica and all that, really their mothers are Chinese, the woman's usually Chinese, and the father's usually a Jake, the tribe of Benjamin, and he's busting seeds in the Chinese thing and then bringing out Bayesian kids. They think it's half and half, but you are what your father is. Man.
Got a whole so-called Ammonite, so-called Japanese.
Yeah.
A whole Ammonite community over there in what's this place, man? Jamaica, man.
Yeah, even the Haitians as well. That's why you got that Japanese. Yeah. Naomi Osaka, like the brother just said, she's half Haitian. She's Haitian, but she, you know, her mum's Chinese or whatever. Ammonite, Japanese, and her dad's a Haitian, man. So it's from the tribe of Levi, you know. So you know, that's Jake, man. We desire different flavors. The Lord made us a flavorous variant type people. He told you that in the book of Jeremiah, man.
Yeah, we don't like these devils, man. They like the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. If you want to eat the same meal every day, man. I mean, you want to one day you want to have steak, another day you want to have some fish, not abomination, but some lawful fish, or some snapper or some tilapia or something like that. Another day you might have chicken and all that. The chicken you always have. That's just a regular Jake dish. So that's just like the typical.
The thing is with the chicken, you can cook up the chicken a million which ways.
Yeah, jerk, you know, fried, all this shit, man. So Jake like variety, man, and the Lord, we get that from the Father. The Lord likes variety, man. That's why the Lord said we're like a speckled bird.
There was one, you know, them Saturday morning cooking shows, man. There was one devil, right? He was basically just watching the guy make some chicken, right? And the guy put some salt on it, and he's, oh, you put salt on your chicken. Oh, that's what I've been going wrong. You're like, what? You don't even put salt, but this is the basis.
Sometimes, you know, if you put the right salt on it.
Yeah. But if this guy didn't put anything, he would just take a chicken breast and put it in the oven.
That's the heathen man.
That's what I was saying.
That's no flavor.
That's it.
It was up to Esau, man. Everything will still be bland. When you go to Edomite restaurants, the food is usually bland. If they don't put cayenne pepper in it, it's got no flavor in it at all. Most of the time. But they charge you a hell of a fucking price for some bland food, man, with no flavor. Yeah. So they give you the smallest dish as well. When you go to a Jake restaurant, you go to a Benjamin or, you know, whatever, West African restaurant, you get plates of food, man, where you can't even finish the damn meal. And it's just flavoursome, man. It's pure salt, pure flavour in there, man. All kinds of variety. You know? Different types of, you might even have the same type of, same type of rice, cooked different ways. Fried rice, special fried rice, or whatever. They call it stir fried rice, whatever they call it. Then you got the jollof rice. And even with the jollof rice, you've got different types of jollof rice. The Ghanaians and the so-called Nigerians cooked. I think there's Sierra Leone, they got their own version as well. Zimbabwe, I think they got their own version. Yeah. So it's different variants of the same food. And when you check out the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, we basically eat the same dishes, but just cooked with different spices and shit. You know, hell of the same dishes. Like when you go to them Latin restaurants, you buy certain rice dishes or whatever, lasagnas or whatever. There's a set or patties. They call them empanadas and all that Ephraim. They call them empanadas, but Jamaicans call them patties. You know what? West Africans call them meat pies. The same shit. Rice dishes are all the same. Rice and peas. They eat fried fish and all that. Some more than others. You know, we're all the same. There's variety though, flavor. There's nothing wrong with that, man. You know?
Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power.
We're fucking going on that. So that's going into this is the thing. Everyone has basically just followed what the Most High had set up, right? When we read Psalms 83, but how these different nations they had got together to basically put the try to get the name of Israel out of remembrance. Really, what they were doing was just helping for that precept, man. Right? That's why we got separated from our power. It was always designed this way, right? The Lord don't make no mistakes. Right from the very beginning, that He knew that Jake was gonna go off, but you had Yahushua there, so that through Yahushua we could be adopted back onto it. That's it. And it's in this kingdom, right? Where would you call it in this captivity? We didn't know who we were, but guess what? Now we're coming back to that understanding. Oh, I'm an Israelite, man.
Something clicks.
Yep.
That's like when brothers wake up in the truth, and every brother's got their own version of the same story, and how they heard this word and something just clicked. Then their mind is like a light switch just turn on, and then everything is added up. Yep. And when they started delving, studying more, going deeper into the scriptures and understanding the true understanding, checking out words and learning languages and all that. Then they understood what the history actually was, man, and understood that they are the actual people of the Bible, man. And these devils, claiming a fraud right now, man. They're a bunch of imposters, man, claiming another people's heritage.
So,
making their money fat and making their pockets fat.
But not fulfilling any of the prophecies.
Yeah.
Man. Huh?
Yeah, man, the basics, man. Who went on cargo slave ships around the four winds of the earth? It wasn't the Edomites. They come up with this Auschwitz, Hollywood. That was a resort, man. Auschwitz was a damn resort, man. There were no fucking Holocaust in there. But they pushed that narrative on the planet Earth so they can receive funds, man, and hold on to another people's land. Yeah. But you can see all the skirmishes that's breaking out in Israel right now. That's because the Lord's building that turmoil. They've got tensions with the Palestinians. They're trying to evict them now out of their houses, as well as they're trying to evict Jake, the so-called African Hebrew Israelites, trying to give them 60 days to leave the land. They're trying to evict Palestinians, and now they've got the police, Trojans, riot police out there trying to evict Palestinians from the land. And there's all kind of riots going on shit breaking out between the so-called Jewish factions and all that as well. So that land's totally in turmoil right now. It's upside down.
So then it shows that they ain't the people, man.
Yeah, the Lord said when we go back into that land, it's going to be a land of peace, man. People are not going to learn war no more. So that proves that they're not the people of the Lord. Where's King David at, man? These devils don't even subscribe to the other tribes. They just specifically, stuck on the Jews, man, or the Jewish. But what about the other tribes, man? Where they at, man? Where's their lands, man? Where's Ephraim at, man?
Hey, man, when you know some Ephraimites, man, you can't live without Ephraimites, man. You can't live without Ephraimites, man. But these devils are going to say, oh, Ephraim, we don't know Ephraim. We don't know Ephraim.
That's like they've just been done away with. All the other tribes have been done away with except Judah, so-called Jewish. Come on, man. You man are claiming a fraud, man. But you're being exposed. It says a bastard shall dwell in Ashford. The Lord's proving that the bastards are dwelling in Ashford right now. So he's also going to destroy them out of the land. Isaiah 11:11.
Could I grab this real quick? So Romans 8 and 6. It says 16. Yeah, I was looking. I was like, wait, that's not what it says. It says the Spirit, right itself. Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
Yeah, man. It's a spiritual thing. You have a spiritual eye more than anything, man. You can't be moving with a natural eye and expect to understand things of the spirit. It's not going to work, man. Those are two contrasting forces, man, opposing forces. You know, the spirit against the carnality, the carnal flesh.
That's actually what it goes in
Yeah,
verse
go on,
6.
go on.
Romans 8 and 6. For to be carnally minded is death,
Yeah,
but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
that's it. That's why Yahweh Shai's life is life. He's the waters, man. Represents life. This world is carnal, represents death, man. You know, that's why you got the congregation of the dead, the 2/3 of our people are in right now, but they're spiritually dead. They're dead bodies, so lie in the streets, you know, spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, but they're spiritually dead from the neck down, man. So from the head up or the neck down, the whole head is sick. If it weren't for the elect, we would have been in Sodom and Gomorrah, meaning we would have been totally destroyed as a people, man. And when the Lord has that remnant, that's gonna, cling back onto His word, man, and cling back onto this truth, know who they truly are, push that around the four winds of the earth, so we can get the hell up out of here, man. Because these prophecies need to be fulfilled. Just like we had the prophecies of us going into slavery and getting fucked up by the other nations, there's also prophesied in the scriptures that we're gonna wake up in the last days. We're gonna receive salvation. Our Lord's gonna come back and deliver us, man. That's also in the scriptures, man. So you can't have the good without the bad. There's a balance in everything, man. This is the balance. Great awakening. The Apostle Elder Tah always says, man, this is the great awakening, man. And these devils, they're trembling, man. They know what time it is.
They're 11.
No, that was the same one I was voting.
Okay. I thought even Romans 8 was more like.
Oh yeah, it goes. Yeah, it goes. It goes. Okay, it says, yes, Romans 8, I'll start from 16 again. So the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
Yeah, man, you got a great fight tonight. Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo Alvarez. Those are two Jakes, man.
Yeah.
Now you might look at Alvarez and think, he looks like a white boy or whatever, but he's from Mexico. He's from the tribe of Issachar, man. That's why he boxes the way he is, man. He's very dedicated and disciplined, man. Disciplined warrior, man. He's from one of them warrior tribes anyway, And then you got Billy Joe Saunders. He's a straight up nigga, man. That guy can't help himself. He just oozes with flavor, man. Even when how he slick shot and all that shit, maneuvers in the ring, you can tell he's a Jake, man.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but what do you call it? When you determine whether someone's Jake, man, you can't see color, man. Like, you get a devil. I don't see color. No, but in rules you can't. Why? Because you get certain, and the apostles speak on this, where you might meet a guy and he, in your mind, like, this guy's a heathen. But then you meet their child, and then their child's like, okay, no, that's your child, then you got to be a Jake.
Yeah.
Because what? When you have Jakes, like I've met guys like this where they have grown up around, let's say, Edomites, for instance. They themselves grown up around Edomites. So from them, you're like, it's a straight up Edomite. But then you see like maybe their brother's growing up around Jake, or their son is growing up around Jake, and their brother, their sibling, their blood relative is the straight flavor, man. Well, but that's it.
That's why that fight with Billy Joe and Canelo's gonna make for a great fight, because it's nothing but flavor, man. And they're both disciplined in the sport and the arts of boxing. They know the true science, so it's gonna be an explosive fight. It's not gonna be a boring fight, because they want it. They both want it bad as each other, man. So they're gonna show that warrior mentality and that alpha male traits in the ring tonight, man. That's the spirit of Jake, man. The spirit of them is not like them, man. We're not like these other nations. They're weak-minded, man. We're stronger, man. The scripture says one shall be stronger than the other. That's Jacob, man. And even Billy Joe, Tyson Fury, all those guys, they're all Jakes. The Gypsy Clan and all that, they're all Jakes, man. Whether they're Irish or Manchester, whatever, Scottish, Gypsies, they're all Jakes, man. And then even Billy Joe said it himself. He said, maybe one of my forefathers was black. He said that in one of his interviews, man. The guy asked him something, and he said, yeah, who knows, man? Maybe one of my forefathers was a black man. He said that himself. That was a spirit that compelled him to say that.
Because it only takes like 3-4 generations for your look to completely change. Yeah. Like, what was this guy, man? That's that United player.
Ryan Giggs and all that.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah,
Giggs, all them guys, man. There's the other guy when he said his granddad was a Nigerian.
What was his name?
He looks like a straight up white boy.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but
I know it's on the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I was thinking one of the new, the younger, the light skin Man United.
One of them guys.
what do you call it? His daughter. You see his daughter. His daughter's an
Blue-eyed.
blue-eyed, blonde hair.
Yeah.
You might even be like, "Yo, what you doing with that kid, man?" You know, but that's his daughter, man. And that's his 3 generations because he himself is mixed race.
Look at Drake's son.
Yeah,
Drake's son got blonde hair, blue-eyed. He's a Jake, man. When he grows up, if he grew up in, well, you know, unfortunately, he's not gonna get to see that. If he did grow up in society, he'd be, you know, grow up with tattoos and shit. You know, speaking that slang. You know, pants hanging off the arse. You know, more than likely, trying to be a rapper like his daddy, man. You know, the next Eminem or whatever. Man.
What do you think of that?
That's Jake, man.
Yeah,
Jake can't hide his spirit.
Which Eminem's a Jake.
He's a straight nigga, man.
You had one guy. There's some of the weakest arguments, right? It's the thing when you have to come up with scriptures when you're making arguments. Such the guy said Eminem's not a Jake because he cursed out his dad,
Father.
his father.
But the thing is also about enmity. Like, bro,
It's part of the person.
bro.
He even calls himself the rap god, man.
Yeah.
Jake, the Edomites don't call themselves the god of rap. He calls himself the rap god because he is a rap god. He's a Jake, man.
Yeah.
Israelites are gods walking among men, really. You know, Psalms 82. The Lord said we are gods, man. You know,
How's he gonna sit in the same room as Dre?
yeah, Drake and
All of them, man.
All
But he's
these years.
Edomite. Man,
Yeah.
have you spent time around?
decades, man.
That's
Decades
just
for
difficult.
decades. Yeah.
Bro, it's difficult. I have to do it one time, man. That's struggle, bro.
He's still number one, really.
Yeah,
Out of all of them, you know. Anytime he comes back, he just hits the charts up and all that.
That's
Yeah. He's a Jake, man. Jake's flavor doesn't die out, man. It's timeless. Yeah. Timeless, man.
Romans 8:17 now says, and if children, then heirs. Heirs of the Most High and joint heirs with Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, that's exclusive to the children of Israel, starting with the elect. These other nations ain't got a credence in that. That's a whole camp alone. He better pray to the high heavens, man, that he's a Jake. Because if he's an Edomite, he's going into slavery. And even if he's a Jake, like Apostle Elder Tahar said, he's going to die anyway because he came up against his truth. So he's going to have to die and come back a fresh baby in the kingdom. Yeah, but he more than likely is an Edomite anyway because he just can't get it.
Because I've met several German Jakes. Right, you could tell that this guy's a Jake. Yeah, you
That's his
know.
name, Ryzen, man.
You know, but when you're watching this guy and the way he's moving, you're like he feels slimy.
He's an electric bastard, man.
Slimy.
Like his daddy, man.
That's it.
That's the Edomite spirit. He's got that Edomite spirit. Because no matter how many times he gets cut, comes back for more. Tries to come out with new scriptures and all that to say he's going to find some new way to confound us. He's always plotting, man. So that shows you the devil, man. He's got the seed of a spirit of a serpent in you, man.
And the further proof of that is they like doing all this big word thing, man.
Yeah.
Look, just when someone's constantly using big words against you, it's because they don't want you to understand. That's why you have a whole term, legalese, because they don't want you to understand. They want you to sign on the dotted line, and then when you come back and you're like, oh, can I? Dave Chappelle went through that. He signed on the dotted line, and then when it actually came to it, was like, nah, you missed the small print. That's it, and that's what vocab. He's trying to get people by them big words, right? But scripture talks about
theatrics as well, and gimmicks and shit.
Yeah.
It's not working, man. You're just exposing yourself for the fools that you are. And you keep getting shut down every time. No matter what camp you go to, you always get shut down, man. And you're not heeding the warning and just accepting that you can't come up against this truth.
Yeah.
No matter how much Esau pays you to go up to the NFL to teach them lies, you can't do nothing against this truth. If it's of the Most High, it won't come to naught.
why don't you make so much effort with the Islam, man?
Yeah.
Go Mecca, man. It's
Go
Mecca.
there, man. There's all kinds of different religions out there, man. Hare Krishnas and all that. Why do you come up against them, man? The Mormons and shit. Why do you go up against them? He's just strictly fixated on the Israelites. Why? Because he knows we got the truth. Especially Great Millstone, man. He knows Great Millstone's got the truth. And he's a hireling, man. He's hired to try and shut this thing down. You're doing a terrible job. Slacking, mate.
I mean, I think it goes on, isn't it? So it's like, or you can get Isaiah 11.
Yeah, we'll get Ezekiel 26 verses about the Holy Man.
Isaiah 11 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again. The second,
Again, so the Lord's coming again. Second coming, man. We're hastening the day, brother.
The second time, to recover the remnant of his people.
Who's the remnant? The elect. The Lord's not coming to deliver all Israel. He's only coming to deliver the Israel of the Most High. The elect.
Says, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from
Egypt.
So I was gonna say, but if I can say, because this hasn't been fulfilled yet. So this, and once again, it sort of says, his people. When did this change? Right?
Exactly. When is it changed? Never.
Scripture says, the Most High, the Most High speaks something, it's gonna happen.
Yep.
Right? So this is
Can't be turned back.
can't be turned back, man.
And that just proves that Jake has always travelled, man, because it's naming lands that Jake has scattered in. And that's part of the curse of Deuteronomy 4 and 28. The Lord said he's going to scatter us amongst the heathen, man. You know, worshiping wood and stone and all that. So that's why Jake are all up in these different lands. You got certain Jakes that think they're Aborigines right now, you know, chasing kangaroos and shit in Australia. But they're Jakes, man. You got Jakes over there still in Africa, different lands of Africa, whether in Ghana, Nigeria, whatever, Gold Coast, wherever they are. And they're doing those heathenistic things, but they're Jakes, man. They just don't know that they're Israelites, you know. But Jake, wherever they're scattered at, they're catching hell though. They're under the curses. I guarantee that. No.
which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Paphros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
Yeah, in many of those different lands, you notice that Jake is always the bottom of those different societies. They're the ones catching the most hell in those different lands that they're scattered. They're looked down upon by the other nations, man, because they know that they're not of the same seed. You know, you got the Punjabis catching hell in the land of Elam, even over here in the UK, man, with the authorities and all that whole jab situation, and them basically refusing it. Why? Because they're Jakes, man. Punjabis they originally come from Jake, like the cities and the Daleks and all that. They're Jakes catching hell in the land of an Arab land, so to speak, right now. So wherever Jake is scattered, they can't escape these curses, man. There's no escape. Even out here in the UK, all kinds of Jakes over here, especially from the Southern Kingdom, we're all under curses. We all live in a ghetto, you know. All have to sign up on a dole or whatever. All got these low-paying, you know, fucking strenuous jobs, you know.
And which even legit, because which got one of my uncle's family, right there, they're quite well off. But I spoke to my
If you're lucky.
yeah, but I was gonna say though, because obviously they were like, oh, we've got money, let's go live in this area. But he catches hell when he's in that area, because they're all looking at him like, what are you doing here?
It makes it even worse,
You
really.
know?
I know a Jake that used to go through that, man. He's living in a so-called ends, as they say over here in the UK. UK slang. Then he moved out to the suburbs in the white areas, and he was catching hell, man. He had guys putting shit through his letterbox and all that, telling him to go back to Africa and all that. He really is an Israelite, but you know, Esau. But there was majority of them guys, they were probably Jakes anyway, but they just think they're Edomites, you know. But they're rolling around in gangs, tormenting Jakes that live in those suburb type areas, man, because they know that they're really not supposed to be around each other.
So if you're Jake and you got a nice whip, what you call what's Esau always did? So we just was running your plate.
Yeah, they will stop you, man,
For whatever reason.
stop you, right? You know? You get stopped more than any other nation, man. You know?
Yeah, because then they just immediately look at you, it's like, whoa, you know. So that's basically what reason why I brought that up is you might be a poor Jake, you might be rich, but you still gonna get the same curses, man. Because the scripture says they shall pursue thee, man.
You sign, you know, the astonishment, you know, like you've got rich Jakes like Floyd Mayweather, he's still catching hell.
Yeah,
This guy, you know, do as a whole, he's getting into fights at fucking conferences and shit with some, you know, low level niggas. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they're a bunch of niggas as well. But you know, you can't have it all his way. You know, even though he thinks he's got all the money in the world, he can do that, but you can't have it all your way. That's why he's getting into conversations at conferences and shit like that. Because we're under the curses, man. You know? We're under the curses. We ain't gonna escape these curses until Yahweh Shai comes, man. That's when we're gonna live freely and truly be sovereigns of the land, you know, live in abundance and that, not have to worry about, you know, our enemy coming up against us or our women and the children going off. You know, we're going to be totally, you know, righteous, man. The righteous state.
shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Jake, Israel, scattered, literally like the corners of the earth. That's why the brother said that Hosea 1 and 10. You know, where's the sound of the sea? We're the greatest nation really on the planet Earth, man. Because we literally left our seed in every single nation, man.
We've been in captivity.
Yeah, under every nation.
You know. And that's what I always say, like even in this captivity, what Jake do? Jake always ends up having sex with a woman of that
It's
captivity.
lovely, man.
You know?
Even if it's the ugliest so-called looking Edomite, Jake always proud and happy when they get a white girl. Yeah, when they get a so-called white girl, they're the happiest, man. Even if she looks like a fucking ugly fuck, man. They're still happy.
When them so-called Jamaicans come to the UK, man, it's gone, man.
They're tearing up them Edomite women's ribs up, man. They're tearing up their wounds, man. You know, putting it down, laying a smackers down, man. That's what Jake do to all these women. And you know, that's what these women want anyway. They all desire it. When they say tall, dark, and handsome, they're talking about Israel. They ain't talking about the Edomite. It's just that they got that stigma and imagination in their mind that tall, dark, and handsome is an Edomite because they're ruling. But really, when they say tall, dark, and handsome, it's talking about a Jake. But we're in the bottom, so you know, it's just like the way the cookie crumbles right now. So that's all these women desire. When Jake gets a woman, they're totally fooled by them, man.
Oh, that was the whole
Captivated.
That was the whole thing with Ezra. He was getting all annoyed because Jake was basically their children basically were learning the languages of these women that they were dealing with, but they weren't learning the Hebrew, man.
Jake loves to put it down. They both said be truthful about that. But that's what Jake does, man. He just spread seed. Especially like the brother says, Benjamin, they love to spread seed, man. So, lay the pipe down, so to speak.
And we have a whole nation called Fruitful, man.
Yeah. He's from, come on, man. He's from, they're definitely up there, man. When it comes to multiplying.
Move back from the scattering. Ezekiel 36 and 23, and I will sanctify my great name which is profaned. That says Ezekiel 36 and 23, or do you want to start from when you just first up? And I will sanctify my great name which is profaned among the heathen, which you have.
So that's what Jake is doing right now, right? Because this will happen, right? Remember, we'll be like at Oxford Circus, we'll be like, yeah, man, we're the Israelites, greatest people on earth, and then you have niggas doing just some dumb shit right in front of us, and then people are like, you lot, and they'll just carry on. Because our people as a nation, for the most part, our people are full of shit, man. We're just gonna keep it real. That's a fact. We're just gonna keep it real, man. You know, but what do you call it? The Lord is you know, is through the elect. He's basically cleaning us up, and you know that's why we have to carry ourselves in a certain way, because we are ambassadors. How shall we ambassadors of the nation, man?
The Apostle Elder Tahar said it earlier on today, and he's made a sit down in regards to that black LGBT chick, 16-year-old that got found hung over there in Massachusetts or whatever. And he said, you know, look, Jake's basically got a long way to go, man. Jake is just corrupted, man. As I said, the whole head is sick. They're seduced under the hands of the wicked, man. You know, and they perpetuate that and then even become more wicked than the wicked, you know. So that and the Apostle Elder Tahar said that we got a long way to go, man, but the elect, they're still around, man. That's the only hope that we've got really right now. The elect, if it weren't for the elect, we would be totally through as a people, man. We'd be destroyed. There'll be no redeeming, there'll be no reconciliation, none of that, man. If it weren't for the elect and the Lord dying for the elect, you know.
It says, and the heathen shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, saith the Lord, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
Out of all countries. So this isn't that you're gonna have Jakes that look like straight up Jakes in all of those countries. Because even that statement, what does that mean? What does a straight up Jake look like? Huh? Right? We come in all shapes, shades, flavors. Right? You get, and I remember which was reasoning which was the brother I bud, and he was basically saying you meet certain, you know, dark skinned Jakes, which if they were so-called white looking, so-called, you would think this person was a heathen.
Yeah.
But because they're dark skinned, you're like, oh yeah, that's still a Jake though.
When you got the wheat and the tears,
That's it.
and we'll also let them grow together by the
That's
same
it.
time of the harvest.
Yeah.
Because even the Apostle of the Ramla broke it down. The tears don't necessarily look like Edomite. Tears are Jakes that are really, you know, Edomites that look like Jakes, basically. That's what a tear is. So you got guys out here that are faking the fraud. You might think they're Jakes, man, all up in Parliament and all that. They're straight up heathens, man. Their daddy's a white man, man. My daddy's a slave owner, man. And he breaded a black chick and brought forth a mulatto, man. You know, brought forth a mulatto. Then you got tears, man. You know, you can see it as well in his spirit, man. I say certain straight up tears. We got the bushy afro and fair skin or whatever. You can see you got straight up Edomite spirit on you, man. Devil, man.
Remember that guy that used to come up, man? And he used to come up when he came up with the curls, man, like that so-called black, the so-called Jew guy.
He was tears, well, man. He said he was into Judaism and all that. He was a tear, man. He was literally on his farm with the devil. That guy, yeah, he was dead right now.
And then his friend actually started coming up to listen afterwards.
He was rebellious as hell. Like. He actually had the hits in his head. Like, all that acts like he's a black Jew. Man. It's a Judaism. Man, you know? So we're going to have that in these last days. The wheat and the tears. That's going to be a big ciphering right there. So the Lord's going to decipher between the goats and the sheep, man. You know? And he's gonna separate the elect from the non-elect, man. That's what the Lord's gonna do. So you got a lot of our people that are mingled amongst the other nations as well. You know, a lot of them speak Arabic and shit. That speak Chinese and all this Mandarin and all this, and they think they're from the other nations. They're really legit. You got China Mac. He's a straight nigga, man. The rapper and all that. He's a straight Jake, but he looks like he's Chinese, trying to fight for Chinese rights and all that. He gets angry every time he sees a video of a so-called Chinese man, a woman being attacked. He gets emotional, but not realizing they're not even really his people, man. They're really a Jake.
And that whole thing with so-called agents in America, that should have proven to all of you Jakes that this devil doesn't care about you, man. Look how quickly he passed all of them laws. These times Jake has just been on the bottom. That's it.
Civil rights and all that.
One, two more, but it's got a little slap in the face, and these men are passing legislation to protect them. That just proves that Jake, you don't mean shit to anyone, man.
Yeah, that's what the scripture says. Your trust in the shadow of Egypt will be your shame. Yeah, your confusion. Yeah.
You know, this is not our rest, bro. This is what we've been trying to tell you, Jakes, man. This is why we're focusing on the future. The seers, the aka prophets, they're visionaries. They focus on the future, man. So, you know, the future is bright for the children of Israel, but 2/3 they can't see it. They just got their blinders on, man, and they think this is it, not knowing that this is not our. We were sent over here to the West to serve punishment, man. We broke the statutes and laws of the Heavenly Father. We're those people. We're His chosen people. It's peculiar treasures and all that peculiar people. We're the Israelites of the Most High, man. You know, so that's why we're under the curses right now. We're in some fucked up conditions, but the elect, they're going to see the future kingdom. They're going to be the first inhabitants, man. We're ushering it in right now. We're the forerunners for that, man.
Verse 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean.
Yeah, the clean water is what this word, man. The refreshing of the word. This is able to cleanse your soul, man. Give you a new brainwashing, spiritual brainwashing and righteousness, though. You know, this is that true brainwashing to cleanse us from the leaven of this world, man. That's it. Now we got the truth.
Have something that's really oily, like a really oily pan, and you just cook some chicken and you just cleanse it.
Cleanse it out.
And then when you go afterwards, you look at it, it's nice and clean. That's what the Lord has done to our minds. Hey, because that's why when we're in the world, we really think about what we were doing. Certain of the shit we were doing was straight up wickedness, man. But a lot of the shit we were doing was straight up wickedness, man. You know? Certain of the things we may have been into, and you come in the truth, you don't even want to talk about it, man. He's like, nah, man, I was going off. Huh? But that's that cleansing, because you start looking at that, and you start seeing, that's actually wicked. You hear certain people talking, and they'll talk about certain things that are straight up wickedness, like it's normal, man. You know, things like what threesomes,
Yeah, man.
orgies, or all of that's wicked. Whether it's 2 women or 2 men, that's just off, man. Eating pork.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter, and all that. You know? That's Jake's mentality right now.
Oh, that one was the first chapter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One was the first chapter, man. And because they were willingly ignorant of it, because you'll know that it's off. Jake know that shit is completely off, man. Like, how you gonna have cordial sex with a woman with another male in the room? Like that brings out all sorts of questions. Like, really and truly, how can you even get aroused in that kind of environment? Like, because it's deep there, you got demons on you, man. Demons.
Yep. Yep. Was it the same thing with pork? We know pork is a demon because you know when you go into like a camp and they've just been frying some bacon, it's offensive. like you know, I'll go into a coffee shop and I'm like, oh man, it
Smells like a
stinks.
dead body.
Yeah,
You
man.
don't even want to be around it.
What they in these post-apocalyptic films of zombies and that, so which got the cannibals, they refer to it as what they refer to human meat as long pork, man.
Oh, fuck.
They refer to it as long pork, man. Right? Why? Because what even Ethan will tell you, right? You know, in his science or whatever, that that's why we'll test on pigs, because he says that a pig is the most like a human, man.
Yeah, like close niggas. Yeah. Yeah, that shit is straight up abomination, man. Yo, I don't even the black man. Shit don't even taste good either, man. I don't even know why Jake's so overindulged in that swine, man. He loves that swine to his death, man. That shit is literally gonna bring you death.
Yeah, that's all.
Matthew verse Ezekiel 36 and 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you.
Yeah, so that's what it is. The Lord cleanses us from the ways of this world, man. Cleanses us from like Christianity, worshipping Caesar Borgia, thinking that the Lord's a so-called white man. He cleansed our minds of that bullshit, man. Cleanses us from all these different false religions out here, all that strong drink, man. You know, thinking that you can make it in the society. That's another idol. People look at money as an idol, man. They worship money. Certain people actually say that, man. When the scriptures tell you plainly that, you know, love of money is the root of all evil, man. You know, that's why so many of our people sell out just for a fucking check, man. $6.
I'm sorry, hey, but I gotta say this. There's certain of them Nigerians, man.
Yeah, 149.
Yeah, man. They certain of them Nigerians got a grimy. Yep, they got that love of money spirit on them heavy, man. Right? Yeah. They'll holy, they just move hella grimy, man. It's like, hey, I remember one geezer, he's like, yo, man, let's meet up. And I was like, oh, I was about that thing. No, I just need some help or something. And you come in, it's about that thing. Like, oh, what we doing, man? It's slimy, man.
When it comes to money, man, get lost in that shit, man.
Yeah.
That's like another idol.
Yeah.
No, money's a defense, but you're not supposed to worship this damn shit. You're not supposed to just live your whole life. I need money. Lord said not desire not the richest, but like, you know. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, this place is temple anyway, man. This is gonna be destroyed anyway. In the kingdom, we're gonna have untimely riches, man. You know? Riches you can't really number, man, because it's unlimited wealth, you know, that's in the earth, abundance and all that. People are not as part of the wealth as well. That's why we're gonna have slaves. That's part of your wealth. That's part of the generational wealth system that we're gonna have in the kingdom of heaven. Slaves, you know, free labor. These devils working for free like we did. You know, that's real wealth right there.
That's a ruling class mentality. Yeah. You have, even though we watched a conspiracy thingy, but was it G. Edward Griffin? Right, was watching that, and then he was basically saying those are the ruling class mentality. They want to have power. But that's the problem with Jake, because you tell Jake, oh yeah, you gonna have these nations, oh, but why would I two wrongs don't make a right? This, that, and the other. It's like, look, nigga, you gonna have slaves whether you want it or not.
In the ghetto, they were recruiting little young guys to do their dirty work, to make them rich. You know, they're giving them a pack. And they go out to sell that, bring the money in a certain amount of time so they can free up. You know, that's a form of slavery as well. And then you're paying your workers and all that. That's a form of slavery. Man. What are you talking about? Jakes have a fucking slave mentality. That's what it is. You think of a low vibration. But having slaves is not really wicked, man. It just means you delegate the work to your workforce, man.
The person used to go into this. The word employee in the Black School Dictionary basically is slave. Man.
So that's what we're gonna have. We're doing it. We're living it right now. We're slaves in this white man system, you know. So he's gonna in turn gonna go through that same format, man. He's gonna be slaves in our kingdom, man. And we ain't gonna have no mercy. We're gonna be like, you know, thinking, oh, we need to liberate these Edomites and all that emancipation of the Edomites. None of that is gonna be going on in the kingdom of heaven, man. These devils are going into chains. These other heathens are going into chains. And after 1,000 years, other nations are gonna get their own lands. They're gonna be occupied under our rule. Made tributes, and Esau, Edom's going to be done away with, man. They're going to be destroyed totally. They're going to be exterminated, man. That's going to be your emancipation, man. It's going to be a transfer of power. We're going to have that over power, man, as sovereignty. You look up the words like imperial or colonialism, link the word colonialist with manifest destiny, because that's what these devils did when they came over to the new world, so to speak. Peons, and they took over the new world and enslaved the Northern Kingdom. They did that all in the praise of in the name of manifest destiny, which it was prophesied. But it's also prophesied that they're going to go into slavery. When you look at the word imperial, it's sovereign rulers, sovereign power. These are all sovereign supreme powers of the earth, the nation of Israel. So we're going to be imperial rulers over these kingdoms. You know?
Isaiah 60 and 10, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's called slavery. It's called labor. It's called labor, man. You know, that's when you devils are going to cease from oppressing. You're going to be oppressed. It goes in Isaiah 33.
For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I have had mercy on thee.
Yeah, the Lord brought us down on a low level, but in time he had mercy. That's why he's going to redeem the elect and put us back on a totem pole, so to put us back on a high status, man, as the true rulers of the earth. You know?
Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought.
Yeah, so we're going to acquire the riches of the other nations, and they're constantly going to be bringing it into the gates of the state. So it's going to be our riches. They're going to vomit up the riches that they stole. They're going to give it back to the children of Israel, especially Esau Edom. These devils are sitting on vaults of gold, man, yeah? Vaults of bullion, man, stolen riches, all in their museums and shit like that. Different vaults, man. They're gonna fish that shit up.
Oh, which that documentary that show that I was talking about on Netflix is all Latin history for dummies, where he actually goes into the amount of wealth that this man stole, man. Right, because they had beautiful palaces or whatever, and had gold in there, this, that, and the other. And then these man just went, took it back to Spain, and he said that's how they funded. What do you call it, the Spanish Empire, the British Empire, basically that's how they funded the Edomite empires.
Yeah, they all got it done, bro.
That's it. Scripture's got it.
Still destroyed. So that shows you who's in the world right now. Right, the whole world colonizing, putting their names on the lands of on the earth.
Oh, you mentioned the Philippines before that, so I'm from King Philip, man.
Philip, and then, you know, King Scipio Africanus, Asiaticus, and all that. All these guys put their names on different lands because those are the colonizers of the earth, man. So in turn, we're going to colonize them, just like they came over to the New World, and the Jakes that were speaking Hebrew, they brought Spanish over there. In turn, we're going to make them speak the ancient tongue. We're going to make them speak Hebrew. Everyone's going to go back to speaking Hebrew again, man. The king, man. Yeah, man.
So Sirach 10 and Sirach 10 and 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings,
ill-gotten gains. So that's the whole MO and the whole history of the soulful white man.
Yep. Because of unrighteous dealings, injury and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
Riches got by deceit, man. When you check out the history of this devil, that's all he's done, man. the different empires, the British Empire, you know, they got riches by deceit, man. Transatlantic slave trade, all by deceit. And they're still living fat off that money to this day. They're living under that generational wealth scheme to this day. Because they're still living off the money that they stole or made back from back then.
You know, this kid, that's what drove this kingdom, man.
Yeah.
Right? If you're living in Britain and if you have said that these devils have the nerve to say, well, wherever your people are, it's poor and degraded. Well, how did this kingdom make money? Well, when you look at the finances of this kingdom, it all came back from ill-gotten gains, man. Rape, robbery, murder, slavery, right? Going up over there, would you call, and then bringing the money back to the UK. Well, and that's it. And would you call, when you got other people you making money, and the way that these men were, then you're able to afford to, you know, go into different endeavors, man, right? Whereas what Jake out there, you know, wherever we're scattered, you know, whether it's in the land of Ham or whatever, you know, we're making do with the little that we have, right? But the beautiful thing is, your elites, they're gonna take everything away from you, man, and you ain't gonna know how to live. Jake, you see, if Jake, which if the lights turn off for Jake's like, oh, it reminds me of my childhood. You know, for us, we're like, it is what it is. It's a normal deal for the Jake, man, at least. You know, these women, they're all up in the system, right? But for the most part, Jake's gonna know how to do certain, they gonna know certain things to be able to maneuver around. But you devils, man, when your elites take everything away from you, we gonna laugh, man. We're gonna laugh, and we're gonna laugh hard because you've been living good for far too long, but doing nothing, man.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
So we're gonna get to enjoy your riches, your spoils, that means your women, your daughters, we're gonna get to enjoy all of that, man. And we're gonna slave your sons, slave your kings, you know, we're gonna slave all of you, man. Right? So,
yeah, just like you just asked, man.
that's it.
That's right.
That's called poetic justice, man.
There's the right to recompense tribulation, them that trouble.
Isaiah 60 and 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted.
Yeah, so if you don't want to give up your riches, your substance and all that, come and, you know, serve under the children of Israel. You know, you're not gonna get no assistance, man. You're gonna be catching hell. You're gonna be put out, man. You're gonna basically be put to death. You know? Anyone that doesn't want to serve, man. So you're all gonna serve. You ain't gonna have a choice. Just like we ain't got a choice in the matter. You're gonna have to serve, man.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious.
Yeah, which is the land of Israel. Starting with the holy city Jerusalem, Dar es Salaam. So that's where the main hub of the government, where the law is going to be distributed from, and where the law is going to go out. Isaiah, the 2nd chapter goes into that, man. These other nations are going to have to come up to the mountain of the Lord, man.
The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee.
Yes, you're going to bow in, you're going to be in servitude mode, man. You ain't going to, because you other nations, as we always say, you're natural born heathens, man. You was made to serve. Just like the nation of Israel, we're natural born rulers who was made to rule, man. We're just in a low state right now. But roles are going to reverse. The natural order is going to be established, man. Your natural born slaves are going to do your job. That's what you was created to do. Serve.
Everything's going to be corrected, man.
Yeah, man.
Right, which, you know, there's a spirit of certain, you know, obviously it's not going to be until the kingdom and things are fully corrected, but there's certain, you know, vibrations of correction coming out in the world right now. We speak about, you get having a lot more men now starting to be like, nah, fuck all this feminism shit, man. They straight up being like, nah, that's some old bullshit, man. Starting to, you know, take their manhood back, man.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
On a small level.
Yeah, the alpha male traits are coming back. The alpha male mentality of a man having dominion over his household, his women and his children, that's slowly coming back. But in the kingdom, that's going to be fully established. Order's going to be re-established, man. Because that's part of the heavenly divine order. It tells you in the Corinthians 11th chapter, man. Look, the divine order is a man should rule over his woman and his children, man. And the heavenly father and his sons above the man. You know? That's the divine order, man. So that's going to be established in the kingdom of heaven to perfection, man. We ain't going to have no more of these black heifers running their mouths talking about You know, I'm independent and all this. That shit, with that mischievous, promiscuous behavior, that's gonna be done away with, man. And it's gonna be a feeling of fuck your feelings, man. It's not about your feelings. If you women are just natural emotional creatures, man, everything about you is feelings. And if it don't feel right to you, you got something wrong about it. But men deal with logic, and we don't deal with feelings and emotions. We deal with logic. And that goes back to the statutes and the laws of the scriptures, man. Logic of the scriptures, we're going to establish that order back on the earth. Re-establish.
At the end of the day, logic, man, is what, like, it's all in the spirit, but logic is really what it takes, man, to be able to adhere to this. Because you got to understand, like, certain things you got to do in life, man, and according to the law, even, it's not always going to feel nice to do. But at the end of the day, you got to do it, man. If you have a rebellious son, you know, you might have lots of little, you know, you might try and show him the right thing, but at the end of the day, you got to stone him, You can't be there on some, nah.
Yeah, but according to the law, if you're being unruly, it's being a gluttonous in the household and don't want to work and, you know, don't want to do his part. You know, it's being a stubborn niggard, basically. The law is you got to put him to death in front of the congregation, man. That's the law, man. Why? Because you can make another one. Yeah?
And worse yet, you look at what's happening in this world, man. You look at certain places like Chicago, man. Certain places in America where and all of them niggas that be killing other niggas in places like Chicago. Guess what? They should have been put a long time ago, man. A long time ago.
They're not worth. They're not. What's the term?
They can't be reconciled. Like,
yeah, they can't be reconciled. They can't be a certain term they use in prison.
Rehabilitated.
Yeah, they can't be rehabilitated, right? They can't be rehabilitated. Spiritually, then it's like the scripture called them brute beasts. When you check out that word brute, that means someone that you can't basically reason with. You can't reason with these jakes, man. They just want to do their own thing about, you know, gang banging and shooting up their own people, whatever, for money, for sleeping with their best friend's girl, all this type of wicked shit. That's what Jake's into, man. So them guys can't be rehabilitated. They have to get hit with a missile, man. They have to get hit with a missile. They're the 2/3, man. They're niggards, man. The law's not going to bring them into the kingdom. And this whole world's under a feminine vibration. That's why that do as thou will spirit is on the earth, because everyone's emotional, like the woman. That's why she's saying, oh, if it feels right, just do it. That's why you got trannies and the LGBTQ society running right in society, because it's that a feminine type spirit on the earth. It's not a masculine, manly type spirit on the earth right now. Man. That's a woman, bunch of pussy worshippers right now.
So that's why one of the first things he did, right, was to basically push this feminism, man. Going back to what, 64, right? Because then after that he was able to push the rest of the stuff, man, right? Because he knows how men are, right? Scriptures tell you how men are. So many have gone out of their wits for women, right? So then he knows if you push on the women and the women on a bit, then the men are just going to do whatever's required to keep the pussy, man.
Yeah, it's not simple. That's it. That's why the whole earth is under simple vibration. Apart from the men of the Lord, the elect. They're the only ones that's got that alpha spirit running through them right now. Yeah. They're not on that simple vibration. The kingdom, that's what it's going to be. Alpha male type spirit on the earth. Masculine spirit, man.
Isaiah 60:14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they, on all they that despise thee, shall bow themselves at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel.
Of God, man. That's supposed to be the express image of the Lord on the earth, just like our Lord and Savior Yahweh is the express image of the Father, man. It's supposed to be a representation of our powers of righteousness on the earth. That's why he gave us the law, statutes, and judgments in the first place, man. You know, show us our wisdom, insight, and our nation, how we're supposed to be as a people, and these other nations be involved in that. You know?
Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations.
Eternal kingdom, everlasting, right? We're never going to go back down again, man. Never going to come back down to this low state. We're going to forever rule. We're going to forever be righteous, man. Perfect, for eyes of the Lord. That's what it's all about. That's the end game, man. That's your Howard Shine's great reset. You know, Esau's got his great reset button. The New World Order great reset. But Howard Shine's got his own great reset. Man. His one is better than yours.
Verse 5 and 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed, nor confounded world without end.
World day on uninterrupted rule. So we're gonna have an uninterrupted rule, right? Ever. So let it be. So let it be.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And it's going to stand forever, because in fact, when we in Surah, the 10th chapter, we read in the fourth verse, right, scriptures talk about how the Lord is going to set up over the rulership of the earth one that is proper. Right, because all these different nations, Lord was mercy, let all of these different nations have a stab at the rulership, and they were all found wanting, man. Especially this devil, right? He's been found hella wanting, man. Right, he's the most wicked rulership, right, ever in the history of the earth. That's what's going to get the greatest judgment in the history of the earth, right? And then after that, everyone's going to be like, oh, you know what? I see it. Okay, yeah, it has to be done by way of the Israelites. So why, as we were speaking on before, to Isaiah the 2nd chapter, right? All the nations are gonna come up and be like, "Yo, man, let's learn about what Israel has to say." Real Israel, man, right? Because out of Israel is gonna go forth the Lord, right? And we're gonna be in rulership over everyone, man. Everything gonna be blessed, man. Right? You know, we're gonna see, you know, the world in its beauty, right? The animals are gonna be in their you know, excellence, whatever, right? Everything's gonna be good, man.
Go out to the heavens, you know, see the different mansions of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, the different houses of the Lord's mansion, space, going to outer space, different galaxies, man.
Everything's going to be the right way up, and that's the thing that for us is most beautiful. Because you walk around, we just see things in upside down. And we're like, man, this ain't right. One of the major errors of the earth at the moment is that the children of Israel are at the bottom, man. That ain't right. You read that Ecclesiastes 10 and 7, or something like that, right? I believe 10th chapter, 7th chapter. So I've seen servants upon horses, right? And princes walking as servants upon the earth, right? That's an error in the earth, man. You gotta take orders from certain people that, you know, from your boss might be an idiot, but he'd be like, oh, go do this, that, and the other. And you gotta listen to this dude. And there's this guy when he closed the laptop, when he goes back home from the office, his woman is popping him in the ass, man. And
What type of stuff videos and children getting raped on his laptop and shit.
and you're gonna take answers from this guy, man. Nah, but in the kingdom of Israel, everything's gonna be right way up, man.
A lot of these, you know, corporate executives, a lot of them are straight up pedos, man.
Yeah.
They get caught. Some of them get caught out of there more than others. They get caught with all kind of, you know, snuff videos, child molesting videos and all that shit. They're on the dark websites and all that shit. You know, getting involved in child trafficking and shit like that. That's who we're being ruled by, a bunch of pedos, man. A bunch of pedos and Satanists, man. You know, they just show the recreation of Sons of Sam, the documentary of Berkowitz and you know, Charles Manson and all that, the Sons of Sam. You know, the devil worshipping that they was doing, and when it was going around murdering people, was part of some satanic cult. You know, but that's what they was trying to go up the ladder. The guy that was trying to find out the information, basically at the end of it, he lost his mind kind of a bit because he got so deep into it and found out there was bare levels to the shit. It was going up into corporate America and all that, man. Yeah. Because that's what the corporate higher ups do. They're a bunch of witches and warlocks, man, and they have to do all these blood sacrifices to maintain power, man. Or try to maintain power, man. You know, they have to appease their master, which is spiritual Satan. You know, that's why they're known as the wicked man of the earth. You know, and it just says wrestle not against flesh and blood, man. Spiritual wickedness in high places going on.
One verse even above Ephesians 6:11. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Our armor is true. This word that we're speaking right now. This is going to be able to protect from the trickery and the wiles of the devil. Man. That's why we're telling you don't take no jab from these devils telling you on a media platform, which is another another witchcraft from forum. You know, demons, warlocks, programming you through the TV, the media propaganda machine, telling you to take these damn poisons and pathogens to the body. We're telling you because we've got the armor not to take those jabs, man. And that ultimate jab is that chip, the mark of the beast. Don't take that shit because you ain't coming back from that. The Lord's going to destroy you, especially if you're an Israelite.
I was going to say, because the Apostle God mentioned it again recently. He was just speaking about how, his referencing his woman should be watching the news and this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden, like everything that he just told her about, don't take this, don't do that, this, that, and the other.
1 minute she's down with it.
Yeah.
She listens to him, and then as soon as she watches the news, she gets seduced again.
Yeah, and he was saying, because that's that witchcraft machine,
man.
And it's
propaganda. And that's what the media is, a propaganda machine for the wicked elite.
Yeah.
To bewitch the people, man, to entice you. Yeah. It's just like when they show you that, what's that program called again? Twilight Zone, when they got the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. That's how they're bewitching you, man, for all these different media, news platforms and shit. And it's all, for shock value and shit like that to make you comply, man. Now, how many people have dropped dead and be listening to these devils and taking out a jab? How many people have lost their lives for that shit, man? Many. Because they're stupid, man. They're like sheep. They're not being brought to the slaughter because they don't have a mind of to think for themselves, man, and to do research, man. They just believe in whatever this devil tells them, man.
And going forward, we don't, you got the ones that have got dead straight away. We don't know what the hell that does to you, man. Because it's like, why are they so, forcing the issue to get everyone done by June and July?
Yeah.
That's the question that I'm having. And one thing as well, why is it certain of these Moabite Ammonite nations, they've been struggling to get their, not Moab, say Korea and South and Japan, they've been struggling to get people. Or I'm like, but wait, there, you're a technologically advanced nation. Why are you struggling? What's your problem? But then I'm still like, yo, what is this? It's something ain't adding up, man. It's corruption, man.
Witchcraft and the border, all that. Yeah. So they're definitely not to be trusted, man. Yeah. None of these 6-type devils are to be trusted, whether the medical field or whatever it is. Fauci, all these guys, man. Gates, all these devils, man. They're a bunch of demons, man. Yeah. They drink blood for a living, man. Yeah. They're sinister people, man. They're not to be trusted. Corporate America, they're all into that. That's what the whole of America was built upon anyway. Witchcraft, says that in the book of Isaiah 47. From thy youth and all that.
That's real quick. Proverbs 3:31. Envy not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. It said, for the forward is an abomination to the Lord Yahweh, but his secret is with the righteous.
Stop it, man. Forward is an abomination, man. Stop it. You listen to this devil podcast, you're going to think of jab. Basically, put your life in disarray, man. Put your life on the line for listening to the devil. Next minute, you could be paralyzed for the neck down, and all type of shit, man. All kind of side effects, man. Clotting in your brain and shit like that.
Even though which girls are reasonable about blood, right? And he was basically saying the response these people get from the thing is even worse than the response than if they get it naturally. Because you think about everyone that's got it naturally for the most part, they didn't even know. They didn't even know they had it. But these people, they be getting things stuck in them, and then you be hearing, oh man, I wasn't able to do anything for like a week and everything. Right? And then you're like, but wait, extreme headaches, this, that, and the other. But wait there, if you had got the thing naturally, you wouldn't have even thought it take. You may have had a little may have been tired for slightly tired for a day or two.
It's unlawful, man. That's why the Lord said not to make any cuttings in the flesh. Not supposed to take any leafy with basically that's where it is, leafy with gentleness. That's definitely leafy with gentleness. You're basically telling the devil to kill you. Your loyal servant to kill me. Yeah? Sacrifice yourself. I showed you in Conan, the Barbarian, the one with the first one with James L. Smith. James L. Jones. The one was playing the bad guy, so to speak. Arnold Schwarzenegger basically he was in his temple. And he's basically talking about how real power is not having wealth and power over resources. He was like, look at this woman there. And she was just there. She said, come to me. Come. Then she just jumps. Kills herself. See, that's power. That's what he said. That's power. So that's what Esau's doing. Power over the people, man. To make you do things and comply to his new order without even coming up against him, man. We're not under that spirit. We're not under those spells. Men of the Lord, we're not under those witchcraft spells that these devils are casting on the people, man. We don't care what this devil says. What benefits that are coming from that vaccine? We're taking it, man. We never needed it since we came into this life. Why the fuck do we need it now?
And that thing with everything, every last bit of his medicine is like that, because he will say, "Oh, take this thing," and then it might fix that thing, but oh look, now your arm dropped off.
Usually when you get flu, a lot of people the same don't even want to deal with the medication because they like to let their body. Your body's a natural healing a healer. It's meant to heal itself. So over time, when you're sick, you just let the body, revibrate, whatever, and it'll heal itself over time, man.
I've always used this analogy of like if you had an older brother, right? And each time you got into a scrap, your older brother came and he was like, "Yo, I'm fight, man, bam." You yourself never learn how to fight. You yourself, and that's like your immune system, man. It's just fight yourself, you never let it do its thing. Guess what? It's not going to work to its strength. In fact, that's kind of the reason why they say children are more sick these days. Because back in the days, they'd go out into the sand pit, play in the sand, play in the dirt, play in the this, play in the that, right? So guess what? They built up an immunity sort of thing. But now you have a lot of children nowadays that are so, what they call it, bubble wrap, that they don't even know how to, they're not exposing themselves from a young age. Exactly. Same thing with peanuts. They were saying how a load of children have peanut allergies these days because their parents don't feed them peanuts when they're young. And then they basically was like, okay, so why is it? Because that's how they found out. So why is there a low prevalence of children with peanut allergies in Israel? That's because from a young age they're fed a snack that has a lot of peanut in it, man.
Yeah, all these medications and all these jabs, it just suppresses your immune system anyway. Your immune system doesn't fight back. It's totally weak, and then your body's just, up for grabs basically, man. But it's foreign body. That shit is straight up poison. Don't take that shit, man. But that's the wiles of the devil. That scripture says we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. That's one of these devices. The ultimate jab is that chip, which is that's the real device he's trying to put in our people, man. 2/3 are gonna go willingly, man. Be destroyed. Because even when he was young, like there was a stage when he was growing up, puberty or before puberty, you get smallpox and stuff like that. There's a natural thing, you grow up, you get smallpox. After a while, your body will heal itself. Those are natural ailments that would happen to the body because your body's reconfiguring itself basically as you're growing up. So from a boy to a man, you go through those cycles, man. Just like the woman goes through her cycle, the body change and all that. But that's natural things that's supposed to happen in the body. Like the brother said, when you're a kid, you're supposed to be out in the field doing what you're supposed to do. You got all that kind of energy anyways, bursting full of energy. That's why you're supposed to be out and about, climbing trees, doing what kids do, man.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Yeah, spiritual wickedness against demonic forces, man. The forces of darkness in this world, man. And these elites, these wicked devils, they worship those demons, man. They fall upon them, seances and shit like that. They ask for guidance and shit. They got their think tanks and all that. If they're a bunch of witches and warlocks, this is what they thrive on the left-hand side to get their power. But we got the spiritual power of the Lord on the right-hand side. Even just us speaking right now is a form of spiritual power on a low level, but the Lord's going to increase that over time. And certain men are going to be able to actually enforce and show that spiritual power and manipulate elements of that, right? Look through the spirit, though. The spirit is greater than the flesh. The spirit is greater than the carnal. So Esau's always going to lose when he confronts the spirit anyway.
Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So I was going to say the whole arm, which, as you read in the 11th verse, I was going into
scriptures, man. Right? You know, so and that's just all of the scriptures. You
The
can't
whole row.
the whole row. You can't take bits and then like leave out certain bits of the doctrine because it doesn't feel nice. Right? You know, that's a kink in your armor. And do you know how if you're in a war, right? It's old school fighting war, right? And a guy has his whole a suit of armor, but he has a chink right there. Where you gonna shoot your boy an arrow? Where the open where it's uncovered, man. That's why you have to take these scriptures for all its entirety, man. Yeah, there gonna be certain things which in this world may feel a bit like, but hey, you can't be ashamed. No, because if you're ashamed of the most, so your how shy is going to you, going, oh, I know this nigga. You ashamed of me, I'm gonna be ashamed of you.
Right, and ultimately, faith, by faith as well,
Yeah.
man. You gotta understand that, like, look it up in the Blue Letter, it occurs about 231 times. And all the times Yahushua healed people, it was about their faith making them whole. He actually referenced that many a time. And rebuked even the disciples, like Peter, when he failed to walk on the water, he lacked faith. Like when the disciples couldn't heal the child, and then, you know, Yahushua, you know, he rebuked them because he said their faith.
Because some people try to pass down, they didn't have a little faith. They couldn't cast them out, but the Lord cast them out.
Just to back up what you're saying about all the healings, Scripture says also that of the Most High cometh healing, right? So you have to have faith that the Most High will heal you, you know? And we're coming into that time, man, especially. Yeah. We're coming up into that time when the Most High is going to open us up so that we're able to perform these things, man. Okay? And not like them TV production stuff. We're going to be seeing certain things in these last days, man. People going to be, you know, just like before. People going to be bringing their sick, right? And this, that, and the other. So we're not scared of what Esau's got in the lab, right?
Jake's gonna be bright burning.
That's it, man.
Bright burning like Brandon Bryan, man. You know, Lord's gonna unleash his you know, his power, man, through his men. You know, they're gonna show. Esau's gonna show. Esau's gonna see the miraculous works of the Lord once again, yeah? And everything's gonna be glorified. Yeah? And you know, giving honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man.
All the fools that that believe there ain't no God, you're gonna be shown one thing, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna be shown one thing, man. You're gonna have all kind. I wonder what the new excuse is gonna be. Bro, oh no, that's CGI. Okay, then you see it in person. Oh, that they were lying. They were never sick. No, the Lord's gonna be doing some things in these last days, man. He's gonna put some respect back on his name.
Yeah.
Too many
man. Yeah, man.
people. Oh, what you believe in a guy in the sky? Yeah, we believe in a guy in the sky, man.
I come to the earth. It didn't come from the word of the Lord, man. How was man formed from the dust of the ground? That's written in the scriptures, man. You didn't just come out of thin air, man. You didn't just appear out of nowhere. Not created, man.
Slug it, boy. If I can say, this man has created a whole system of understanding by way of a Big Bang theory and evolution, right? To basically disprove the Most High. That's what all of that is, to try and disprove the Most High. But yeah, you're gonna take this thing that he concocts in a lab. This guy says the Earth is billions of years old, right? And on this, all of this, that, and the other, create this big old lie. But you're gonna take something insert something into your body. Trial and error. Like you really gotta understand the level of devil you're dealing with, man.
Yeah, it's the scripture says that, or Psalms 10 that Heavenly Father is not in all these sports, man.
Mm-hmm.
You saw him see the Heavenly Father. So it's pride. That's why before destruction, pride goes for great destruction, man. Great fault. That's the time you saw Eden in. You know, all this pride and technology is not going to save you from the hands of the Lord, man. You know, it's not going to save you, man. All your riches and all that, it's going to fly away. Don't hold fast. When the Lord unleashes his wrath upon you, man, that's it. It's done.
They're going to say that because that's what in Wisdom 5, what have our riches and our importance. This is Ezekiel 28. We'll start from verse. I'll start from the third one. So the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, right? Thus saith the Lord, found this modern day Tyrus, representative of Esau, right? It says, thus saith the Lord
more power, because thine heart is lifted up. Thou hast said, and who's more proud than this devil, man? Right, heart lifted up, that's representative of pride. Right, for this man to say a man can be a woman and vice versa, that is pride, man. Because the Lord had what does it say in Genesis? Male and female created on them. Okay, but this man has said, no, you've got what 26 different genders. Yeah, you can read that. It says, and thou hast said, I am a God. It says,
Because he's ruling the earth. He brings everything to the children of Israel, which is the Lord's people. So he thinks that we're going to forever be his servants, his slaves. That's why we're going to part. Which is that one slave ship. It was to brand his cattle, it was to brand his servants. You know? But the Lord's going to destroy that, man. Because the Lord's going to show him, like it's in Psalm 9, that they're nothing but mere men, mere mortals, they're not gods.
yeah, thou art a man and not God.
Yeah,
So that's
it's a bare mortal, it's just a man. This is one of his pride right now. We've seen different examples of guys that came up with that pride, Nebuchadnezzar, what happened to them when they came up with that pride? Man? They got jacked their asses up. So he's still going to get jacked up. You're no different. You're no different from any of these ancient kingdoms that came before. They all had their high rise or whatever, their pinnacle when they had their demise.
right. It says, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Right. Well, hold once again, this man has created a whole system of science. That's why the scripture says science falsely so called, right? Just to try and disprove the Most High.
Yeah. Trying to have the heart of the Most High, like creating things
Yeah,
in the laboratory. That's why you got GMO meats. You know, instead of keeping things in the seeds, the splicing seeds are trying to come up with different versions of hybrid foods and hybrid animals and shit like that. Now you want hybrid humans and shit, right? Transhumanism, you know, trying to link merge man with machine. That trying to have the mindset of the Most High, but the Most High said, your thoughts are not his thoughts, man. His thoughts are way above yours. Even with the smallest creation of the Heavenly Father, you double can't compare to that. Even a little ladybird or a slug or a worm, but how you can cut a worm and it'll grow back. You know? You still try and put that in his technology, you know.
It says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Right? And the Lord has put that spirit in you to, go and search all of these different things. But ultimately, there's certain things you just can't replicate, as the brother was going in. Huh? You get certain animals that can just live for ages. Right?
Different climate,
Different
climate, each different animals, climate has different climates and different terrains. And like a living boat, London, London Sea and all that shit. It's crazy, man. Like, you can't create those things, man. You're trying to, but create monsters, basically. You're on a Frankenstein mission. You're that mad scientist, man. That's creating abominations, man. You
can't do that of yourself, because that's ultimately why he researches these things, because he's trying to live forever.
That's another point. Yes. Jesus says in Psalm 64 that search about all things. That's why you're trying to have the mindset of the Most High. Research people, their traits and trends, but you're still not going to be in the level of the Heavenly Father. You're never going to be in that level. The scripture says you're wiser than Daniel, but that's only the level that the Lord took you at regarding the technology. If you like to search out things, you can search. So you are, so-called intelligent on certain levels, but it's only going to go so far. The Lord's not going to let you put you on his level,
Because I was talking about inspiration coming from the Most High. Right. Yeah. So if you were to come up with an invention or with anything, that's from the Most High, which is what it says in Isaiah 54:16 that I have created the smith that blows the coals and fire. That's talking about these ICBMs.
Lord gave the inspiration for the scientists, the split atoms and all of that. He saw them just come out with it. He didn't know nothing about that.
Sure.
The Lord put the thought in man's head, the German science and all of that, to do that. Then they found basically like a nuclear weapon, basically. But that nuclear weapon is that snare that the Lord's going to use to destroy your own kingdom, man. It's going to destroy you with your own weapons, man. That's how proud and how foolish you people really are. You thinking you're going to protect yourself from all these nuclear weapons and all the ICBMs, you know, all these super soldier programs. But the Lord's going to use your own weapon to destroy you, man. To show how much of a fool you are.
With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver to thy treasure.
We spoke about that earlier. The transatlantic slave trade, how these banking elites are sitting on bullion with gold, silver, fluctuating the markets, and messing around with the stock market. Because they own everything, right? Everything's out there wheelbase, out in peril, and they're destruction. They're messing around with the numbers, making themselves richer by the day, by the hour. Everyone else is suffering on the bottom.
It says, because every January you have Fat Cat Day, where basically that's so it's like January the 3rd, 4th, or 5th, where basically the execs of certain companies have made what the average person will make for the whole year. You know, just so like if say the average, I think the average in London is like 35k. So Fat Cat Tuesday or whatever, that's like that means the top execs have made 35k that year, and it's like the 3rd or 4th day of the year. They ain't done shit.
They ain't done no work. Just a couple of bucks. They're getting all these damn bonuses.
That's
right?
it.
That's this devil, buddy. He's in the power seat right now. He's ruling. But you ain't gonna be ruling forever. Keep treasures for the last days. You know?
So it says, therefore thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, and the terrible of the nation, and they shall draw their.
I was gonna say, because this man has got into a system on the earth right now whereby the earth truly is given into the hand of the wicked. This man goes into different people's lands and tells them how to run their setup. He's got an LGBT thing in one end of the society, but then he's going into African countries, telling them, like, threatening them with sanctions and telling them that they got to accept his customs, or they ain't gonna allow them to literally trade, man. You know, you got it to where this man controls world trade on a level never seen before. Like, this man literally, the United States, man, over 80% of world trade goes through that dollar, which is why when that thing crashes, it's over, man.
Petrol dollar. That's how they've been able to bully the whole world, man. Right, by threat of sanction. Because the EU, for instance, with Iran, they wanted to keep trading with Iran, but then when America said, "Nah, I'm gonna put sanctions on you, man," all of them businesses, all of them businesses, they were like, "Look, man, fuck this, man. Look,
everyone's getting fed up with the world, man.
That's it.
They're getting drunk off the wine and the fornication, the monetary system, but everyone's getting fed up with America, man. And there's debt bearing note that they have to deal with, man. The petrol dollar, man. They want to establish their own form of monetary system, financial system. America has to just be destroyed anyway. That's it. The end goal is America has to be destroyed. That's why they said they're going to bring the terrible of the nations against them, man, which is what? Nuclear war. World War III. That's inevitably going to happen, man. Because America's going to keep doing things, backing themselves into a corner where they ain't going to be able to get themselves out of. And they're going to force themselves to go into an economic war, which is inevitably World War III. So it was the fight for power, you know, the resources basically.
Which is what we've seen happening over this last year, over this a pestilence that's been in the earth, right? The devaluing of the dollar, right? Famines, that's coming as well. You know, we're seeing all these different things, all these different things changing in the world. Right? Well, you know, brother spoke on, right, what is that? 40-50% of all dollars in circulation were printed in the last year. That's it. Right, and people are only now starting to talk about it. But we were telling you these things from before.
Got financial advisors telling people, look, man, this market's about to implode, it's going to crash. It's going to be it's a bubble right now. People keep joining these different housing bubbles and shit. You know, the crypto bubbles and thinking it's going to last. They're all bubbles that's going to pop. Like, when it pops, your money's gone. You're going to be fucked. People don't want to listen. They only listen when the shit comes knocking on their door. By then it's too late. That's it. So you can expect more inflated prices, and it's going to go into hyperinflation. That's how it's going to go. Because this whole whole system is backed by a fraud. Yeah. It's covered. It's in a engulfed in debt. It's a big claim. So it's gonna blow. It's bound to blow.
But there's gonna be people out there when the destruction comes that have spent their whole life, their whole essence, everything working for this thing, you know, trying to build up careers, speaking revelations about the merchants, or wailing for Babylon, man, for all of the street holders and the gold and
Storehouse, yeah. But it's gonna be bad, bro.
I was just say on your point that you made, bro. That's why people are so offended when you tell them that it's the end, because all their dreams, all their hopes, all their aspirations, we're telling them they don't mean shit, which they don't. They actually don't.
the whole purpose of man is to fear the most high.
That's it.
Commandments, man.
That's it. You know, one of my colleagues just had a new you in that. And then I'm just looking at this guy's like, man, you think you've got all of these hopes and dreams for her and this, that, and the other. Bro, it's wet straight there. Keep it real. Keep it real, man.
You guys, for those not with you, they're gonna be looking at your kids like a
meal.
straight up meal, man.
Yeah. And then you might think we're laughing, we're joking, we're being cool, but these things are happening. These are things that are going to happen, man. Right? And then you might ask yourself, well, what can I do? Hey, you're an Israelite, repent. Repent.
So tell you, repent, man. These things that we're telling you, that's written in the scripture, they actually live in events that are going to take place. We're not going to see people dropping dead by the body like they are now, even more so when they were Hellbridge, getting shot in the middle of the street, women's getting raped, getting murdered and all that in the middle of the street, getting chased down by the troops and all that. Then you're going to have, more pestilences probably be released, more famine, people dying of starvation and all that. These things are coming, people actually eating their kids. This shit's gonna actually take place.
Ephesians 6:13. Wherefore, take on you the whole armor of the Most High, Yahweh Shai, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. And the reason I bring that out is, in that time to come, you don't want to be in the spirit of an unwise virgin. You don't want to have that feeling of regret. Knowing that you had it, you had the opportunity, you had the chance to listen to the prophets, you got sent the link to the videos, you had the scriptures, and you just didn't do it. Because that is just the worst feel. Like, listen, when the Lord destroys the wicked, man, you gotta understand. The scripture speaks about the second Ezra, the 13th chapter. Some were glad, some were bound. You gotta understand, like, hey, a lot of Jakes are gonna come to the Lord in that day, begging for forgiveness, begging for mercy, man. And the Lord is going to bring a lot of destruction. The Lord is going to destroy a lot of Jakes, man. A lot of you that had opportunities, even some of you that are among the congregation of Israel, did not the Lord say in Ezekiel 9:4 to start at his house, man? So a lot of you people that know that you're Israelites that are playing games are going to get it, man.
Oh, like you're saying, because like just with that precept, you got to do to make sure your election is assured, man. Seek your own salvation with fear and trembling, because that's why we have to labor and just keep going. We can't take our hand off the plow, because we don't want to get caught up in the melees and all the destruction that everyone's going to get caught up in. We want to see it. We want to see these people catch hell, get mutilated and get annihilated in front of our eyes by the troops and all that, catching all these different pesticides. We want to see it and sit back and enjoy it, man. But we don't want to be part of it. We don't want to be catching the same judgment of these demons out here, because they deserve it, man. So that's why we're diligent in seeking our own salvation with fear and trembling. Constantly doing this work, man. Keep doing all to make our election sure, man. Right?
The Most High.
Yeah. So hard, man. So,
Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation.
yeah, and that's why, like brothers are saying, the real high value men are really the Israelite men, the men of the Lord. Not these guys, these corporate American execs, these bankers, these rich athletes and all that rappers or whatever. They ain't the high value. They may seem like or look like the high value, man. But when all hell breaks loose, knowledge and wisdom is going to be stability at our time. The men of the Lord that's got these scriptures in their mind, and it's going to be shown. It's going to be evident who the men of the Lord are at that time. Those are going to be the high value men. That's why a lot of these women, that are looking for these rappers and corporate American bankers and so-called rich people, they're going to be looking towards the men of the Lord at that time, man. And they ain't going to be for for riches or whatever. They just want to have that protection. Yeah.
Because even on that, all them saying, quote, higher value men as the world sees them, in that day, they're going to be as Jeremiah 30:6. wailing as women, man.
Yeah.
Face turned to paleness.
Time to point their loins, you know, as I read it earlier. It's gonna get bad out here, man, for a lot of these guys. Yeah? Drake and all that, they're gonna be catching hell, man. You know, all these rappers.
And the Lord's gonna make examples out of some of these.
Yeah.
Oh, was it because it was brother Shaq? Right, he was talking because obviously we shared that video of like Jamson Idris. Right,
Oh, yeah,
he
I saw something like that.
yeah, he was all getting poked up with the thing, man. Right, and brother, you know, vehement. He was like, man, I hope something happened to this nigga now, man. You know, because hey, Lord's if something in his next couple of weeks and it can be attributed back to that, bro, Jay's gonna be like, nah, man. You know.
These people so-called in society, they're not the real high value men, man. And these women are gonna realize that when it's all said and done, when anarchy is in the streets and chaos is ensuing, man, they're gonna realize who the high value men really are. It's gonna be the men of the Lord.
High value in this kingdom, but this kingdom's gonna fade away.
Really, they haven't got the high value. High value means you got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord, man, and you can protect yourself. You know, and the Lord's gonna protect them.
You know,
Matthew 19, and I'll quickly go through it, 28. And Yahweh Shai said unto them, question from Peter when he said, you know, we forsaken all. Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, which is reincarnation. Because he was telling them, you're not going to get it on this side, but in the regeneration, which is literally, you know, regenerate, man, to come back anyway. When when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So once again, to back in what you're saying, look, they saying, look, when I get it,
You're gonna
get it. But that means we have to wait till the Lord gets it, man.
And everyone that have forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake, and then you even have examples of it like Job. Job lost everything. You had it to where it happened like a back-to-back sequence of events. You know, the servant came and said, listen, your enemies came and they slew your servants. I'm the only one that escaped. Fire came down from heaven. The house fell on your shoulders. Job was catching all kind of affliction. You got the boil. Yeah. His wife said, curse the Most High. That, you know, what shows you the nature of a woman? You know? Yeah. And everyone that have forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life.
Family members, all that. A lot of them are taking the max right now, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going for the second dosage. Like my family and all that, they're going for the second dosage and shit. Like, you know, they can't get enough of these sorts. They can't get enough of these sorts of packages, man. Ultimately, you know they're gonna take that to heart, man. It's that shit.
Because if I can say, man, these people sold out something that ain't even that deep, bro. When it went, what? Yeah, because like I was straight, man, hand sold out to go on holiday, and I told you like, oh, I got it, so now I can go back home. I said, Mum, it's a land, it's on the red list. You can't go. Oh no, I can go. I got, and then now she found out she can't go, and I'm like, look, shame on you, man.
You better off going to the Turkey or Greece. You don't have to take them back to the court.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Let's come back and get slapped with one dot.
Yeah, take one back, you're gonna have to take the other.
That's
You
it.
can't refuse the other. You gotta take them all. That's it. Or you just put yourself in a quagmire situation for no reason because of ignorance, man. Ignorance is not bliss, man.
It says here, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And
People
he's
that hold on to this life, they're gonna lose it. They're gonna lose all their good costly pleasures and desires of this world. They're gonna lose it, man. The ones that, you know, get to suck everything like the men of the Lord, like brothers like us that you in the scripture in the Revelation says that they hated their lives unto death, they're gonna receive all the blessings. They're gonna receive blessings abundance, man. God's gonna bless them abundantly, man. Just for having that faith and standing still.
look at when Satan tempted Yahweh Shai with the kingdoms of the earth. Yeah? And then at the end of the day, what did Yahweh Shai say unto him? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that, you know, proceedeth out of the book, man, out of the word of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Because really, Esau can only give you a corruptible crown, and at the end of the day, what Esau gives you is corrupt from the get go. It's made in, you know, that what that term for like phones when it's made in You know that they're like a phone is made to only last.
Built-in obsolescence.
That's it. Built-in
Expiring date.
Eventually, it's gonna break down. Eventually, it's gonna fuck us. Yes.
Esau's promises are limited. They're not unlimited like the Lord's. If God says something, He promises you something, He's going to give it to you forever. God says it's going to be forevermore, man. Like, if you take something from the devil that starts doing bargains, you know, it's going to be short-lived. There's an expiry date upon that, man.
Oh, and just look at these celebrities, man.
Yeah.
How you know, you have certain people, you know, they were the people looked up to, and then he one day just wakes up, throw him under the bus, and guess what? Ain't nothing that person can do. Or in the case of the Smiths, make your child a Mo, make both your children Mo's actually. Oh wait, no, you're gonna make your wife. Everyone's gonna know your wife had sex with someone else. You're polyamorous and all that shit, man.
The whole family.
Demonic.
Will, he likes dressing up in like women's clothes and shit. Saw him in that Aladdin, dressed up like a bitch with titties and shit when he's playing the genie. He was gonna kill Jada, all them niggas, man. Yeah. Their names are dead, man. They're just an embarrassment to the Lord, man.
And Lord's will is public, just like how you push the witness on that. Lord's will and instructions. In all of those witchcraft that you're playing on, because that whole entanglement thing, like we know how they get down in Hollywood. Everyone had sex with everyone in Hollywood. So then it's like, what was the whole point of that? It was to push some kind of wickedness on the world, man. Right? So the Lord is gonna judge you, Lord, for in public, so that we can see. Look, that's what happens to those that live wickedly, man.
Right. All of that action work that you put in, like all those independent, all those presidents of Malays when he was on top of the world. Look what his company is. Now you've got a wife committing orders for you. Your children are freaks and things. And you understand? You know?
Not a real man, it's a beta male, man. Not half the boy, beta male.
You can tell they've done numbers on them, because I don't know if you watch interviews of them, they see even funny like that. He's lost it, man. But that's all them years of being a demon, man. Catching up.
Covenant with death.
Yep.
It's allowed, man. When the overflowing scorch comes, you're gonna get hit by it, man. You and your family members, man.
That's right.
All you niggas that sold out the Wade family, all of you, man.
Yeah.
All of you guys, you're gonna get put to death, man. You're gonna pay for it.
This is Matthew 16. That's happened twice now. Each time I'm reading this, yeah. This is Matthew 16 and 24. So then said Yahushua to his disciples, if any man come after me, let him deny himself and take up.
You gotta deny yourself, man. You gotta be willing to give up all. It's like the Lord told that rich man, yeah, you did this, that, and the third, but are you willing to give up all your riches to follow me? And he was like, no, man, you couldn't do it. Yeah. No, he was all a mind, discombobbled in the mind because he knew that he couldn't give up the riches, man. That's like a lot of our people. The majority of our people, they don't want to give up this world. They don't want to give up this life. They've got the spirit of Lot's wife with them. They're looking back, they want to hold on to it. Yeah. So fortunate to the demise, man. You wanted to hold on to this place, and the Lord took your ass out for it, man.
So yeah, it says, then said Yahushua unto his disciples, any man come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. But whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. What?
Got disciplined in this thing, man. That's basically what it's, entails. You having that stoic mind state, being disciplined to just go all out, man, endure to the end. Don't fall slack to you, fall off the way by the wayside, fall by the distractions of this world, the women, the fancy garments and all this stuff in the world, fashion, whatever it is, pop in society. Don't use your mind for it. Know that this place is going to perish. Fashion and force perish away.
How is that supposed to be? Getting more about like a devourer, not lying. Devourer, and on all of our individual levels, you're gonna have Satan coming at you in different types of ways trying to do you out, and it could be anything. It could be children. It could be your very children, you know, that come out of your loins, man. You know, like that. We have to eat. You know, like it could be anything.
Time and energy. You want you to attend to them all the time. You woman put to pay attention. You know?
Yeah, man. It's a good sign where, you know, it's a good sign, even though in the flesh it might hurt, it's good for your spirit where you try to get into certain things, and then the spirit will always have it to where it could be jobs, it could be women, it could be anything other than the truth, and the Lord would find a way to just cancel the shit. And you could even in the flesh be striving for it, or the Lord will just will knock it off, because at the end of the day, He wants your focus primarily on the
power.
truth.
You're gonna have to give up more than you're gonna receive, man. To lose in this world is really to gain for the kingdom of heaven, man. So really, you haven't lost, man. You're gaining the kingdom, you're gaining royalty, you're gaining sovereignty. You're gonna gain a crown from the Lord Himself, you know. So really, like that's that incorruptible crown that you're striving for, man. Yeah? That's part of striving for the master. Man. So that's definitely something to give up, rather than stay in this world and enjoy this temporal riches and shit like that. Man. This shit's gonna fade away, man. Shit ain't gonna last forever. All these different type of jobs and family and all that, trying to get you to do certain things, you know, invest in this, that, and the third. This place is it's all gonna implode, man. Everything's just gonna implode. What is the benefit of doing that, man? Putting all your time and investment in something that's gonna be lost. That's what the majority of our people, they're all trying to figure out new ways to get new investments and build up in this way or that way, economically wise. But this society, you know, build themselves up in this society. But the Lord, it's all going to perish though. So what's the point, really? The end goal is that, you know, you're going to end up being destroyed with the things that you're desiring, man. Yourself in it, right? You know?
Second Peter 3 and no, I'll start from 9 actually. It says, the Lord is not slack concerning His promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repent. Say the Lord has said certain things are going to happen. They're going to happen, right? You know, we've been promised a protection in these last days. Right? The elect have been promised protection in these last days. But when we say Lord will, we're saying Lord will that we are the ones that are of the elect, so that we can get the protection. Okay. So it says the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night.
So at the end of the day, you gotta understand. Like you might see people with, like things will never be normal again. But you gotta understand, like for example, in Liverpool, they've got it to where people are now taking quick PCR tests to get up in those clubs. And soon there's gonna be vaccination forced, and then there's gonna be RFID chips, there's gradualism. So you people are gonna be in that thing of peace and safety. You finally got out of it. I mean, you know, it wasn't so bad. And all of us, because that's again gonna be a test of your faith, man. You know, because really, you know, the elect ain't gonna go anywhere near those things anyway. But you're gonna see the people on the earth prospering, you know, like to a certain degree. You're gonna see them out there, you know, in their wickedness, doing what they're doing. And at the end of the day, you gotta have that. You gotta be long-sighted. You gotta see, you know, have the vision, man. Like this shit is literally not gonna end well for these people, man. It's not gonna last. The joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment, like the scripture says.
In good case. Then, you know, evils are going to multiply.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You know, those evils are going to come by way. You saw these more draconian legislations and ultimately Jacob's trouble, hour of temptation, you know, and then the World War III. And that's it. Over. There is no more Babylon the Great after that.
That's what you call people don't seem to realize, because they think, oh, it's just a jab passport, it's just this, that, and the other. They don't see the processes that are happening in the background, because they're so short-sighted. And you know, we were speaking about the witchcraft of the media, right? The media is the one that's making everyone just look at this one thing. How is it from the beginning of this? We were saying, yo, the economy is going to be fucked up.
You know, I've heard people say that. I just see a video pop up on my phone. Get your money out the bank now. It's gonna implode. Do you know what I'm saying?
Black
Like,
Monday, yeah. That's when usually the stocks are inflated, the stocks crashing. Like they always call it Black Monday. Particular times in history, the markets have crashed. It's fucked up. Yeah. The whole of the American banking system. you know, it's another Black Monday is on its way, definitely.
And they ain't no getting out of this one. Because this is the thing, when we look at the dot-com bubble, when we look at 1920s, right? All of these bubbles, when we look at all the world was a vastly different place, right? They were speaking about how they're not manufacturing at the moment. When you ain't manufacturing, how are you going to come out of a recession, man?
They're supplying and selling. It's not what it wants.
Exactly.
It's not yielding the same heights of themselves and
That's it.
all that shit. All these companies are basically on a verge of going into administration. Their sales and stuff is not hitting the heights. Even the retail markets, they're all fucked.
People keep comparing back to, well, after the war, there was a big debt after the war, and we came out of that. No, but look, back then, what the US dollar after the war was still backed by gold, right? You still had certain backings of the monetary system, right? And importantly, there was a big rebuild. You had people that were able to manufacture, able to do this, that, and the other. But right now, it's done, man. Well, you think these companies, because the factories are still there, but guess what they want? They learn. We need to automate these in case this happens again and we can't produce. So people are going to be out of work, man. Right? You got a housing and rental crisis, which you shared me a good video a long time ago, where basically because people just think, oh yeah, just protect the renters. But what about people that own the homes? Yeah, bro, there's stories of the moratorium in America. There's stories of landlords that are now homeless because of the fact that are in the same position as the people that their tenants are in. Yeah. So because they ain't been paying rent.
My family was buying properties and renting about. My brother, well, but one of my uncles and that, he's got tenants that's living in the house for the past 2 years. They ain't paid no rent, bro. He's going through the courts and all that, trying to get them kicked out, and they ain't doing that, man, because it's so pandemic. So it's a big scheme, man. And they even said that regarding the tenants and the rent and all that, they basically said they was going to clear the rent, all the tenants that weren't able to pay for the year and all that. But now they've said no, they're not going to do that. Yeah. So all the people are going to be homeless. Yeah. They're going to be homeless. The tenants are going to be out on the street, What? And even the landlords are going to be suffering. Man. They ain't getting their money.
And what caused the last stock market crash? The whole housing.
Yeah, Royal Bank of Scotland. That was the whole housing
capital controls in Greece and in Cyprus and all them places there. And by that, people think, oh, you get all these proud devils, man, right? I got this, I got that. Yeah, but how are you going to survive when you can only take 60? What in Greece was 60 euros? They were limited to 60 euros a day from the bank.
Now you got the housing bubble going on. Got this crypto bubble going on. The other bubble. So it's still going to backfire. And at the same time, the money is being devalued. It's causing inflation and more money printed. So it's just going to be a whole conglomerate of disaster shit still from hell that's going to come. Yeah, it's going to hit at once, man. It ain't going to recover, man. That's part of the Great Reset.
One thing they're planning, which is still in the works, but it's gonna come, is this thing concept of a negative interest rate. Because like the Bank of England, they right now it's like 0.1%. So lending is super low. People are able to go out there and get mortgages super cheap and all of that. But soon enough, they're planning by the end of summer, they were saying, so July, August, to bring in a negative interest rate, which is basically rather than giving you interest on savings, it's gonna charge you to keep your money in the bank, and they're gonna set a bar of how much you can spend keeping your bank, which is supposed to encourage people to take your money out and go spend it by force, otherwise you're getting charged to keep it in there. You know what I'm saying?
Which you call it from a technological standpoint? I'm looking at that like that means the systems are always designed to be able to do that. Yeah, because it just even as I'm thinking about how you program that, you would always do. It's never gonna go below zero. So you'd always in the software make it such that it doesn't work if the value's under zero, because now the money's moving in a different direction. All the systems are designed to be moving in the other direction. That means it was always planned to fail that way.
That's the standard topic of the whole financial system. Ecclesiastes 12 chapter goes into that as well, man. Them that look at those guys to stop looking at that. It's gonna crash, man. They're gonna be shitting themselves, and they know what time it is. Not in the stock market because it's jumping up trying to warn the people, they're not listening. So they're just taking their own lives and leaving their families for death, man.
Ezekiel 28:18 says, "Thou hast defiled thy sanctuary by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic."
Yeah, we've gone into the monetary system. Man.
Yep.
It's backed by fraud. So it's always going to fail in the end, you know.
Yep.
And that's the time that we're coming to now. It's about to big economic fail, and it's going to, change the whole world, man, on a global scale, economically, man. Where they want to introduce a digital platform, a digital-based currency that's backed by nothing, just like this paper system is backed by nothing, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is another reason why we know they're pushing these whole jab passports, because that means all of the businesses are now having to prepare and digitize to be ready for a new digital monetary system. Because you had certain companies, hey, you go to certain kebab shops or whatever, right? You go there, brother, cash on, but they've been forced to take card now, man.
Everyone's on a digital tick now.
That's it.
These guys digital, all these banks, all your MasterCard, everyone's going into the digital platforms now, man. You know, that's where technology is going. That's the change of technology, man. Transition, man. So the new world order. That's what it's about.
Yep. So it says, "Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee; it shall devour thee." And now,
even in that program Westworld, I don't know if I watched that.
I watched one episode. I meant to watch, but I couldn't find a way to watch it easily.
It was
showing
you like that. It was in like a dystopian type city, and everything was done by credits and debits on their phone. You know, they had the artificial technology, AI technology, and all that shit. It showed you that science fiction and all that how everything developed. Everything was on credits and debits, man. That's what Esau wants to do. Digitalize credits and debits. No more of this paperback. So you get alerts to your phone saying you've been credited this to your account. Just like if you're into the cryptos, every time you get a certain amount of money or something goes up, you get a text, an alert saying this has been credited to your account or whatever. That's what they want. Everything to track, to trace, to digitalize, and track and trace in that platform.
Yeah. And one of them, what do you call it? One of them senators, when they was doing like the primary for the 2016, I think, election. Yeah, he was like, how is it? How is it? If I get a package, FedEx can tell me when it's arrived in the country. How far is it away from me? All of these people can come into the country, we don't know them. What was he talking about? Track and trace. And what do they call the NHS thing? Track and trace. Right? Each time I see that on the package, I'm looking. That's what basically what Esau says. Look, you're a package now, man.
And now they got the first wallet more cryptocurrency chip implant, man. And it's NFC, so it's part of the European, conglomerates that's going to push it out here in Europe.
Yep.
Wallet more. It's the first crypto implant. You put it in your hand and you can manage your bank finances through that chip. So that's where it's all going to, that mark, man. The MOB, the physical mark that they're going to put underneath your skin, man. Track and trace you, man. You're going to be a walking antenna, You ain't going to have nowhere to hide, man.
Which this man puts out strawman arguments for your phone. Doing that on no, but you can leave your phone, man. You can be like, nah, fuck this, man. I'm gonna go off the grid for a couple of days, man. Which I would love to do, but we're gonna push out the videos, but can't hide nowhere, man. But that's these strawman arguments that these dumb idiots like to push.
The Esau was saying they won't even mind if they send out the drones.
Yeah.
Show you that in Mission Impossible films and shit like that. Cameron Diaz covered you got a chip in your space,
I don't know if it's in the films of Suicide Squad, but in the Arrow DC shows of Suicide Squad, the whole Suicide Squad, they had a chip in the back of them.
Felicity.
Yeah.
She was paralyzed. She was paralyzed, and then she created a chip, put it in her spine, and she was able to walk.
Yeah.
And then one other bitch was trying to get, because she was having back problems. She was trying to kill her to get the fucking chip as well. And she gave her the schematic saying, "Side thing." So that's the ultimate goal, to chip him twice, right?
But in terms of the street side group, I don't know if you remember, they basically said, if I remember correctly, they were just like, look, don't even try to run away because that chick will just blow your head off, man.
Yeah. Turn it off. Even Aaron Russo said that.
Yeah.
You know, they can just turn off your chip, man. When he's talking to Nick Rockefeller. Nick Rockefeller said that, you know, really getting subordinated all that. You know, they can just turn off your chip. Really means just kill you. Really some poison that's in there, you know, just kill you off, man. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever they have to do to cut you off from the system. Fuck. So that's why we advise our people not to take that chip, because that's the mark of the beast. And if you take it, the Lord's going to destroy you, man. You know, no matter what, man. Don't take no damn chip, man. The ultimate jam. You know? Resist that at all costs. Even if your life's on the line, you know. And certain men's lives are going to be on the line. Certain men are going to be beheaded because they were going to reject this chip, man. They're going to receive that reward. They're going to receive. They're going to receive a crown for rejecting that chip in the kingdom of heaven, man.
Verse 19, Ezekiel 28. That's it. Says, all they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more.
Yeah, people are seeing America's fall now.
Oh, God, that's true. I was watching the leaf fall as soon as he said that.
Oh, wow, look at that. Economically, spiritually, morally, America's falling apart, man. Everyone's seeing it, man. But ultimately, everyone's going to see when the missiles get shot off, man. Yeah, you know, and it destroys America, man. Everyone's going to see America's destruction around the four ends of the earth. It's going to be televised, man. That's the times we're coming into. And it's all stemming from other things like slavery, but monetary system, man. It's all ill-gotten gains anyway. You know? It's all going to come to a climax, a great violent end for America, man. America's going to be taken out by violence, man. Babylon the Great. You know? There's beautiful times, man. But there's definitely some a hell about to be unleashed on this earth like never before. And Daniel's 12th chapter tells you that, man. Definitely got to be more prayerful and pray for more faith and stay spiritual, man. Keep doing this work. Don't worry about everyone else outside of the circle of this truth, man. Family members, work, your wife, your children. Don't worry about that, man, because you'll see them again in the kingdom anyway, even if they are taken out on this side. So that shouldn't break your faith. That shouldn't tell you from finishing the mission, man. You've got to finish this mission, man. That we've been called into. That's the main thing.
Anything I'm just looking at, oh well, just keep it moving.
We're gonna lose things. We've lost things in this truth anyway. That's all part and parcel of being in this truth, man.
It's part of the contract.
It's part of the contract. You know, prepare yourself for diverse temptations, man. Being brought to a lower state. And we know there's glory at the end, man. We're fighting. Encourage brothers to do the same.
James 5:1. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you.
So it's gonna get them pushed that World War scenario, man. World War III. Which they think they're gonna come out on top. But really they're gonna lose, man. They're gonna lose everything, man. Once those nuclear missiles get shot off, that's when Esau's mission is gonna fall from his heaven, man.
If your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten.
Yeah, man. It's corrupt. Like it's corrupted, man. It's been corrupted, man. Even more so now, it's totally corroded, man. Yeah. It's corroded the world economy stage, man. That's why everyone's pissed off, man. Trying to do their own thing.
Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you.
Everyone's seeing that rust, man. The American dollar's definitely never going to be as powerful as it once was. Yeah. But it's not really the world reserve currency right now. It still is, but it's totally depleted, man. So it's on a thin thread right now, man. It's on thin ice.
It says, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasures.
That's the new thing, man.
You have heaped treasures. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth.
Yeah, which is us, Israelites. Ones that are the Holy Land right now. You're calling them American Hebrew Israelites, African, or African American Hebrew Israelites, man. Which really is Hebrew Israelites, man. We're on the bottom, man. We're catching hell. We're still under the devil's boot, under your hand. We need deliverance, man. No, no.
And the city and the cry is like of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, the Lord of armies.
Lord of armies, man. Armada, man. Armada of ships. It goes on the come with the chariots, man. The deliveries elect. You know? Sweet chariots, man, coming forth to carry us home. That's what we're waiting for, man. That's why we're constantly crying to the Lord. Because the Lord said those things are going to come. Wait for that day when it comes, the day of the Lord. That's when we're going to return back to the Holy Land, man. See our enemies fall.
You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton.
Undisciplined, man. Yeah. Money, all kind of wickedness. Just they all got against, man, for the riches. Stolen riches.
You have nourished your heart as in a day of slaughter.
Live lavish, man. The bank in the league still living lavish to this day. That shit has expiry date.
You have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist.
Just Jake, man. Now you're trying to force Jake to take the jab. And Jake ain't resisting, man. 2/3 ain't resisting, man. Although a lot more people are just waking up to the fact that shit is straight up poison. They never needed it, and they don't need it, man. That's why Esau's having a hard time right now, getting everyone to fucking take jabs. That's the same thing that's going to happen eventually with his chip. You know, a lot of people are going to, fight back, reject it, but that's why he's going to call in for the troops, man. Force it. Yeah, that's Jacob's trouble, man. This is Esau's last attempt of conquering the tribes, man. You know,
I was genuinely surprised when I saw a load of when I saw that Idris, the Damson Idris thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the comments, a lot of the women were like, "Ah, too bad though." There's basically all saying what he's dead for. Right? A lot of the men was like, "Yeah, it don't work anymore." you know,
dead, man.
you know.
No one told him to take that shit, man.
Yeah.
And then you had this bitch Oprah, the witch. She was talking shit. Like, she came on the Ellen DeGeneres show. She was like saying I was sick for bare weeks and that.
She told me.
Yeah, she said, everyone take your hepatitis B vaccine and shit. You know, everyone should take their pneumonia vaccine. That's what she said. She didn't say COVID, but she said take the pneumonia vaccine. Make sure you take your jab. You know, and she's just chatting shit because basically she's a shield, just like the rest of these entertainers, man. To try and push Jake to take the jab. You know?
Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord.
Yeah, you got to be patient, man. Patient, suffer. We just got to suffer this shit, man. But it's not too much longer. We got to suffer for. You know, the lamentations and all that. You know, our suffering is going to be accomplished, man. These devils are going to get their taste of their own medicine, right? So we ain't got too much more to suffer, man. We just got to, be patient, wait for these last few prophets to take hold, come to pass, and then we be out of there, man. Sayonara, man.
Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it until he receive the early and latter rain.
Yeah, plowman, the elect, man. We'll wait. It's coming, man. It's coming, man. No doubt that the Lord's definitely coming, man.
Be you also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh.
Establish your minds, man. Stay strong-minded, stay sober-minded. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith, man. Just keep doing the work, no matter what. People say speaking like a broken record on the same topics. So what, man? Scriptures are repetitive, man. Does that mean it's not the truth? It's the truth, man. Of course, we're going to keep repeating it. Because people are still bucking up against it, man. Everyone's not accepting the truth, so it has to keep being repeated.
Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth at the door.
Stand up at the door, man. How about Shem Yahushua, man? The judgment is definitely at hand. They're trying to escape. So, brothers in the same like-minded spirit, seeking the same salvation to be like we are, man. To be able to shins with the Lord, man. The rest of the elect brethren when it's all said and done. Yeah, we can close up. Close it.
Yeah, go on, man. It's Psalm 73, and I'll start from 3. Says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. There are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men." Right, and that's it. They're not in trouble as other men, man. They've been living good for so long, right? Hey, and you know what they have, man? They have something. They have the benefit of the doubt. These devils, man. Right, and why that's annoying is because look, a devil might do something, right? And for instance, I've seen this which calls was coming out of a store, right, and then basically the alarm went off, right? And it was the Edomite woman that had just walked out the store, and then the security guys kind of looked at her, nah, it's not, and he just let her go. That had been a Jake. Now all of a sudden it's okay, come, let me search your bags, this, that, and the other. Right? Jake don't have that benefit of the doubt, man. Right?
Would have made the whole scene.
That's it. They go to these other countries, right? And then they get certain treatment, despite the fact it's their people that have basically ruined that country more than likely. Right?
They get caught.
They get a pass, they get special treatment, man. Right? That's part of the not being in trouble as other men. Plus, they got these riches, man. Okay, they ain't suffered like other people have suffered. So therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. Okay, so that's it, man. Because they ain't suffered anything that they're proud about it, man. Oh, you talk about great loss that other people have lost. They be but these other Africans, we ain't African any damn way. But they're basically trying to lump all quote unquote black people together, basically saying we don't amount to shit.
Yeah, man. So with that, we're gonna close out anyway. Brothers, keep fighting the good fight of faith, man. Salvation is coming nigher than when we first believed, man. So keep going, man.
Salvation.
Oh, man. Paul represents mercy, so God's gonna have mercy upon Israel, man. Set us up. So look forward to that. But anyway, with that, goes out, give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, God. Double honors to the apostle, honors the great millstone. Shalom to the elect, man. Above, man. Shalom.